那最后，俊宝有没有2026年的祝福送给我们所有的召唤师呢？
当然有了，在这里呢，2026年马年，祝大家马上有钱，马上暴富，马上上分。
好的，谢谢君宝，下次有机会的话我们再见，谢谢。
谢谢，拜拜。
好的，直播间的各位召唤师们，刚才呢简单带大家体验了一下我们今天德玛西亚杯总决赛现场所有的外场的互动环节，也再次感谢今天来到线下的各位召唤师为你支持的战队选手加油助威。同时，我们线上直播间的召唤师们，相信你们已经准备好了迎接今天的总决赛。接下来的时间，让我们交给决赛主持人刘航。Hello， 航哥。
谢谢宗琪。大家好，我是刘航。长夜难明，只能看到前方的一点光亮，却看不清脚下踏出的每一步。那一份光亮似乎近在咫尺，但又失之毫厘。前行的路上，也许每一步都会出错，但是难道因为会错就不再前行吗？在2026年的伊始，我们希望点亮梦想，为战队、为选手、为所有期待着冠军的召唤师们送上一份信念，也希望它能成为新年最好的礼物，为2026的开篇写下注脚。它是冰雪中蕴藏的宝藏，它承载着观众们的殷切希望，它就是我们为德玛西亚杯准备的大礼。各位勇士们，从这一刻开始，踏上属于你们的战场。为了这份冰雪盛宴里最厚重的礼物，现在我们将点亮舞台，正式开启2026的首冠之争。究竟谁会是最终拿走礼物的勇士？谁能握住黎明前的第一道曙光？让我们欢迎第一支争夺奖杯的勇士——埃及战队。以无畏为阶，以热爱为刃，心之所向，登峰造极。他们就是 Invictus Gaming。过往的胜负如悄然成长的年轮，将精妙的个人操作淬炼为团队利刃。让我们欢迎另一支追光者 JDG。坚定你所相信，所信所想皆为前路。他们就是京都 Gaming。今天我们以竞技为名，将梦想包裹成冰雪节最炽热的礼物，献给所有不管停下的脚步，献给所有曾信新篇章必将辉煌的灵魂。欢迎上路选手 IG Sobro JDG 小徐。欢迎打野选手 IG V JDG 俊佳。欢迎中路选手 IG Renerd JDG 红 Q。欢迎下路选手 IG Fortic JDG Gala。 欢迎辅助选手 IG 俊伟 JDG One Pair。
Welcome back, everyone, to our stream.
现在，让我们期待第一局比赛。
Sadly, new setup actually can't handle our regular streams, so we're gonna get down to just Onivia and to the Twitch, cutting off the Twitch, my own personal YouTube stream. But that's okay. We'll still have a bit. Sam's behind me.
I am indeed.
Yeah. So yeah, we're figuring out new stuff about the setup, such as the internet don't quite have the upload speed for
3 streams.
Well, it doesn't have it. Well, it barely has it for 2. But, you know, we figure things out as we go along. It's been a while, folks. It has been a while. Sam, I don't know. I guess I'll give you the headphones whenever I feel like you deserve them.
No, that's fine. I'm just gonna get the headphones, guys. That's,
Yeah.
that's
So-
the answer to that.
So, gonna need you folks to tell some important things. First off, how is audio, and to basically how your experience is in general. We can't solve everything, like getting you breakfast or things like that, but we can give it a good
I
shot.
can manifest your imaginary breakfast, guys.
Yeah, so remember to eat, slay, and serve, and all those other things.
The light side of the force, not the dark side, guys. Don't serve the wrong.
Right.
wrong
I was wondering where you're going. I was wondering where you're going with that.
I've been casting a team recently in fake LPL called Sith Masters. So
Right.
you can understand the amount of force jokes I've made over the last few weeks.
Oh, as in like the European LPL tournament thing.
Yeah, there's now a sort of pseudo second
Harold.
LPL.
How's it going?
Hey, Harold.
Yeah, so again, let us know what audio is like. So, for instance, right now, what is it like with us? Background. Okay.
22年到23年 ，BOG 是拿下了德玛西亚的冠军，也有1号种子参赛哦。而去年2024年，对吧 ？AL 是拿下了德玛西亚杯的冠军，也是我们2025年的2号种子。
是的，今年两支队伍对这个冠军都是非常渴望的。IG 在队史上，在13年、18年已经拿过2次，对这个第3次拿德杯冠军，其实感觉是。
So of course this is IG versus JDG when it still goes live. We're actually on stage. We're on stage, which is cool. You can see that Tabe up there with JDG. It is buffering just a little bit. You know what? I'm just to be safe, folks. I might end up just. Just because it means that we're less likely to have buffering in game. I'm just a little bit worried about the internet. So that thing where.
充满着斗志以及热血，他们都非常愿意去学习。
Don't need the HDR. Okay, sorry folks, just doing a quick switch around to make sure that we're not getting buffering in game.
One of those cool quirky differences between, say, a Western setup and a Chinese streaming setup as well. You can see, like, you don't just have like 1080p or whatever. Oh no. There are lots of different bells and whistles options if you choose to stream from somewhere like Korea.
来到了 JDG 德玛西亚杯，可能从一开始大家还记得他们刚登场的时候，其实
Oh, I don't know, but then it does look a lot better when you've got whatever. We'll just do it like this. Whatever, we'll do it like this, and hopefully
It'll be fine. They do. They do say that.
顺利的以一个3比1以及3比0来提进到我们今天的一个决赛。
对，队员之间磨合，包括跟教练。
Yes. Anyway, where were you? IG versus JDG. IG, I think a lot of people would not have expected them to get here. They have solo laners, which are not what you would expect from. Their solo laners have changed from last year. They are playing with Wei, Photic, and Jue. Long and storied history has. But yes, on the whole, IG I think have overperformed compared to my expectations. Sobra's had a pretty good time of it, I have to say. But particularly, yeah, I think Wei has been the guy which, if he's been on, it seems to go very, very well for them. Hey, Ghost Kids. But yeah, so, but I do think they're coming in as underdogs. I think JDG on the other side of the rift, I think a lot of people expected them to be good at some point. The question was, would they be good now? Would they be good now? Exactly, yes. And I think that particularly Gala stood out to me. That guy's been fantastic. Vampire coming in, giving him a strong laning partner as well. Gala's been the guy that's really stood out to me. But also on the road to finals, Hongq started to ramp up as well. So I think JDG on the whole coming in as favourites. Those are wonderful fluffy earmuffs as the headphones. I love them.
Wow, those are excellent.
Please send some to my location. But yes, the other part of this was, yes. So JDG, I think, coming in as favourites, of course, They have Tabe as their coach in the back room behind them all. Sage behind them. However, blah, blah, blah. Yes, I think that the place where maybe IG can get a leg over is jungle. Junjie is good. Wei can be better. He can be. And I think that if he gets a leg over them and gets IG rolling in the early game, that's how IG might be able to mount themselves a good resistance hit.
Got to keep your eyes on someone like Gala in this one, as you noted, because he was playing with Invictus Gaming only this year. But no, it is in fact last year as of the last couple days, because the world has moved on a little bit. Happy New Year to everyone back home as well, for those of you who are celebrating, and even if you're not, hopefully we can offer you a little bit of joy here and there. Into draft for game one. JDG will be taking up blue side, Invictus Gaming over on red. Some fairly key bans. You'll notice things like the Aatrox and stuff slide through a little bit more, has become a little bit more known quantity in the jungle. I think people have become a bit more happy to let that one through. The Malphite, though, has really risen in priority, especially because of how annoying it can be as a flex and as a counter as a head in lane. So that is being removed, and it is leaving something like a potential Wukong first pick up and available. We've seen that kind of end up getting a little bit taken to task, perhaps the way I'll put it, by the likes of the Aatrox I was just talking about, by the likes of things like Kiana. If you're feeling comfortable in doing so, you do have to ride that mechanical roller coaster, and that means being a certain height to ride it.
Sion being hovered, of course there's no Trundle available to counter it like we saw in Worlds, because the Wukong's been locked in, although we've seen less Trundle anyway at Demacia Cup. What I will say, though, is that Xiaoshu might be feeling like going towards something like the Cassante and Bessa for weight. So that's going to be the jungle there. Aggressive diving jungle option there. There's no Orianna ball to hang on top of it, but immediately you're thinking of dive buddies for the side of IG to help that Ambassador do their job.
Honky's going to get a hold of his Azir. It's a champion he's incredibly comfortable with. Malphite already banned. It did potentially allude to that Zehem pick, and it will indeed be locked in now. So that's your solo lane set up for a powerful AD carry potentially here at IG to get control of the lane. Varus, for all the nerfs, still very oppressive in lane. Each champion really to stand up to him in a 1v1 scenario.
Yeah, so not wanting to commit something like the Kai'Sa to help the Ambassador. The Ambassador's kind of on a one-way trip if they jump in with these compositions right now. On the other side, we're talking about, well, potentially get that Cassante into the Zahan. Of course, the Zahan's very good into tank matchups too. The rule of thumb with Zahan is you allow him to fight long enough for him to get his passive, Zahan wins. We've seen this champion be very binary in a lot of senses, where either he gets passive, runs the game, doesn't get passive, dies.
Yeah.
We've seen that quite a lot, because basically without the passive, the revive, the extra AD and everything doesn't really have the threats of other diving fighters. But when he does, just kind of insanity. Going into the second round of bans, JDG don't have a bot lane yet. They're facing up against that Varus. I suppose it could be something like a Misfortune ban, but even then you've already got the Sion, so you care less about that. But basically, I think IG want to ban away lane-dominant AD carries that can contest the Varus.
And I wonder whether, considering it's Gala, you might look at Fortune that's been really high priority into the Varus. Yeah. I don't know why that didn't register. You were talking about high priority AD carries. I went, I know a high priority AD carry. And it turns out that the example had been made.
New year, same cast.
Well, yeah, that's the one.
And if you think for a second that I don't do the same thing to Sam, you are mistaken. You know that it's Gala, actually. They might be I
mean, instead they do actually go towards the Jhin, which was a something of a lane counter / answer, maybe is the better way of phrasing it.
I think it was a constellation, as in like Jhin does what Varus does, but slightly worse. Anyway, that's been banned away, so let's talk. Syndra away from Renard. Of course, coming in. The one player on IG, I believe, that will not be playing an LPL proper is Renard, because Rookie should be stepping back into that role. We get the Ziggs in. Okay. So Honky played this yesterday, and it was Knight's pick really this year into the Azir. So the Ziggs going mid lane, now you have double artillery. The Ambassador, I will not lie, feels a little bit left out to dry with their own diving identity. Other side, JDG, well, I suppose the Yunara, if you're looking for lane dominant AD carries, yep, that'll do it. Get the Leona in for someone like Vampire as well. Comfort pick for him. Strong lane dominant bot lane. That plays to the advantages of Gala and Vampire, who have been the best laning bot on average across this tournament.
They have been very good. They took a little while to get rolling, but I think JDG in general took a little while to get rolling. We had some questions earlier on Honky consistently getting caught on sidelines. I know a few of the analysts over in LPL English did a little bit of a recap on that one, showing off some of the mistakes that were being made. But hey, it's a team that hadn't had all that much time together yet. And as this tournament has gone on, they really have stepped it up, and it has been great to see. I'm happy to see Xiaoshu in particular, that remaining member from last year's roster, do a fantastic job here as well and continue to prove it. The Org's faith in him so far, in him winning that roster. They're going to lock in the Nautilus. There's another dive buddy. And now at this point, between Sion pressing R and Nautilus pressing R and Ambassador pressing R, you do have quite a lot of lockdown to ensure the Varus and Ziggs explosion of a singular target. A little bit more nervous for them in an extended fight, I think, especially versus that Azir, Yunara, Wukong, just keep fighting the Zazahen as well, like long fights. JDG will be having a great time. Getting there, perhaps a different question.
So game 1, Demacia Cup Finals. JDG coming in as the overdogs, and IG coming in as the underdogs. However, Demacia Cup has a way of upsetting expectations. Some teams haven't quite hit the ground running just yet. Some people, bit of an early march on the Mets.
Figured it out, Alex.
Yes.
It's what JDG stands for. It's Jova Dogs. That's what it stands for.
Where in the deep annals of your twisted mind did that come from, Sam?
Jova Dogs. That's the J and then the D dogs. You called them Jova Dogs, didn't you?
No.
They're the Jova Dogs.
No, Sam.
Yes, they are.
That wasn't even close to what I was saying. Into the rifts for game 1. Maybe I'll give Sam the headphones now, just so he has something to distract him from this dark, twisted, and evil thoughts.
Is this just iPad time for Initialise?
Yes, it is iPad baby time for Sam. Yes, so Sam's broken it down pretty nicely there. I do think IG have the stronger frontline, of course, with the Sarn, but at the side you have an Azir and Yunara. We'll see how long that lasts. Onto the rift for game 1.
Choo-choo.
Snowy.
I've just enjoyed the little poros. I've been enjoying finding the poros around here. I think the little terrain around the Snow Globe Nexus is just excellent. I'm just a fan of having this map back. I think it's been really fun. And a little bit of festive joy that has been missing. A little early invade here from Victor Gaming. Come in force. Get that ward down. We're spotted out on the way in by a good defensive ward there, I think. Understandably, JDG seeing the level 1 not exactly fun.
That's cute. Got the flags right out on the stands as well. I don't think they have like a huge audience for this. Again, it is an off-season. I was wondering if we get... I don't think with that amount of people they... I mean, maybe you could... Well, if they shipped in JDG's chant leader from Beijing, he's worth a crowd himself. The Jingle!
It's true. In fact, I think the word Giles, and I just...
Good job, Sam.
I know.
Sam, how long have we been doing
I
this
know,
for?
quite a couple years now.
What did I pay you for?
You can keep your draft.
Yeah. I'm just realizing maybe I shouldn't be referencing
If you get that reference, you'll understand Alex.
No. Keep that to yourselves if you understand that one. From again, from the dark annals of so a bit of look, folks. They've only had a couple of days actually on stage for this. They had the semi-finals and the finals. Not a huge amount of time to get used to the tech setup. So if there are any peripherals or that, especially dealing with these fluffy Poro headsets.
I was going to go to the same place.
The tech issues abound. How do you control the fluffed of Poros, which is the correct plural for Poros?
Apparently by strapping them to your head as audio solutions. The best audio solutions in the world are in fact Poros.
Just checking in on you in chat, folks. How is it in the stream? Just let me know. Some people saying it's a bit choppy. It may well be that, folks. We have been, yeah, we're figuring out stuff with the new setup, streaming from a basement, basically, trying to figure out how things go. It's very good for noise complaints. But, yeah. Seems the stream is locked in 20 FPS. Is that true? That is so good, but that is all we can do. Tech. Okay, so going into the early laning phase, Sam, I'll check some.
I will do just that.
Let me do the.
Get to lane here at the very least. All pauses to be seen. Jway and Photic, we're looking for a little bit of early poke there, specifically. Don't land it, and so Vampire and Garlet will maraud forwards. All over that second bush. Is on a ward right now, which means the level 1 hook will come on through. Not enough to really threaten, but we'll take a nice chunk out of the Leona. It's got a couple of pots there, topped up, so shouldn't really need to do much more work. Beyond the wave they go looking, so it is them in control of it. You're going to see the level 1 after that play onto Vampire. And Yunara get the shove early on. Ambessa is pathing towards that bot lane, but so is the Wukong. So Junja Wei will be around that sort of level 3 to 4 mark, depending on exactly how many camps they decide to clear.
See that Zig's one of the real benefits is just giving you that extra platform. Helps you. Zahan, yeah, into the Sion. This is quite dangerous actually. Xiaoshu is going to take an extra Q from the Sion, which makes the trade. Jam! That's a lot of damage. First blood to Xiaoshu.
Nicely done. Just flashes on forwards and gets that solo kill in easy fashion. The knock up into the flash, Aureate Rush required to lock down the Scion, and that will start things off nice and strong for the, suppose, veteran member at this point for JDG in terms of length of time on the organization.
That is the value of the Zahan in the extended fights. So it begins. Sobro was actually very good in the semi-finals. But, look here, Xiaoshu gets the leg up in the early lane, gets himself that kill. Teleport blown from both top laners already. If this Zahan gets ahead of the curve, it becomes easier to survive through to your passive getting on. And are getting that push in towards that mid lane. We were saying, okay, IG, if they're going to get a win here against JDG, if they're going to mount a good effort in these finals, it has to come from that jungle away. Got hooked back in by the Nautilus.
Onky, who goes sliding on forward, not enjoying those fast-fused passive autos, doing a bit of nasty work there at the back end of it all.
Does, and he actually ends up getting the crab there too. Well played by Wei.
Autos off, there's the Conqueror stacks on both junglers. Well, much more, Junja just aces way off. Probably prevents him from going for the second scuttle contest as well, at least.
I think the other thing which prevents that is the fact that Honkyu took that, not great trade in the mid lane, but he teleported back, whereas Renard is only teleporting back right now. Oh, sorry, Rose. Yeah, not looking fantastic for him. Wave's pushed away from him. Xiaoshu's managed to control that wave. It is dire straits now for Sobro in a very poor position.
He really can't walk up to that wave or he will die again. The question is whether Sobro is saying, well, I kind of just die and get the wave shoved at least. Wei has recalled and sprinting it top lane. Try and get to that little bit of a dicey lane state as fast as he can. Be there. There is a ward, I'll note, in that second bush. So, get a bit interesting. The hook has just landed. The Aureate Rush in a bit of a chunk. Sobro did a pretty awkward spot. Of course, they are sat on the ward and don't know it. So they'll walk forwards, but at this point, Xiaoshu knows that he is unable to keep the 1v1 going. Tries to buy a bit of time. Does so.
Wow, they're really going for this.
Forward, so they are actually going to look for the 100-0. Xiaoshu thought he could bait it in and can't. Junja turns up now, but unfortunately baited a little too close to the sun.
In fairness, I also thought he was safe. He thought he could buy some time up from the enemy jungler, and I think that flash forwards for the Sion Q really caught him off guard. Sion's early damage before item scaling becomes more of a prevalent factor on your champion's damage can be really, really high. Mid lane Renard doing a great job against Honkyu in terms of some of these trades. Is damage himself though. He gets hit by one more Q, very much within threat range, but Renard, step the Yordle to bounce in. Positive mid lane matchup.
Keeping my eyes on Honkyu's experience bar, because he was not far off 6. Would need another wave. If he managed to do that into Glide and Glide, could have gone for that solo kill probably, but didn't quite get there.
One thing, because as I'm something of an Azir player myself. One thing particularly at the level 6 mark, a lot of people don't realize that because you're using so many soldiers to trade, you don't often have mana for a full combo at the level 6 mark. You need to be very careful about that because it's a chunk of mana to come out. You don't build a lost chapter on your first back or anything like that too. Well, often you can find yourself lacking that. Of course, he's full mana right here. That's where it is. Goes for a heavy trade now that has that slight experience advantage. Back there though. His own level 6.
And we go looking again. Gala will decide to transcend himself briefly. Junja here, Wei here. This could get very messy very quickly. Vampire's gone in and unfortunately finds an Ambessa. But now Junja looking for the turnaround himself. Still transcending themselves. The cultivation of spirit. When we were actually looking for no level 6 as yet. Yunara abilities aside, the trade doesn't lead to too much more aside from a flash from Vampire.
Heal blown gets a lower cooldown for the side of IGC. Yes, the summoner Summoner War. Oh my god, that's a raise from lore. We should be careful about mentioning that. Summoner War was won by IG very slightly there. Both teams looking for that. Hang on a second, that's an ult on top. Side Zahan using his ult to go unstoppable.
He'd get a decent chunk and a pullback on a Sobro, the knock-up as well. Mega Inferno Bomb is landing, but not really to all that much avail. And so everyone backs away, no one really dead.
The semi-global of the Ziggs ult now down. It's a big tool to waste, actually. Trying to use it to hear something in that top side. Vampire, another Zan's Blade. So it looked like flashing forward onto Gala. Flash away.
Go back in. Remember, no flash on Vampire. The ignite onto Gala forces him away, and that leaves Vampire, unfortunately, significantly far away. Has used a Shield of Daybreak to buy some time, but I think is likely a dead man. Will try and get something onto Photic, and I appreciate the attempt, I do. But alas, the cleanse will help block the CC and ensure that IG get that kill in the bot lane.
Vampire, bit of a rough early game. Strong laning support normally, but here he's made a couple of mistakes going into Dway, who's just been holding the hook. He's cast a Zenith Blade at the Northwest, cancels that out with a hook effectively, even trade. After he lost that flash, you suddenly can't play nearly as aggressively as you wanted to. Renard roamed down and actually got himself that kill, that going into it. Almost did that cheeky satchel bomb in the air to get himself that kind of extended range of that Q. I've been impressed with Renard in this early game, I have to say. You know, he's traded well against Honkyu, a player which many people have very high expectations for, myself included. But also, on top of that too, he's thrown that ult top side, showing presence there, potentially helping out his top laner from being solo killed. Bot side ends up roaming down in good timing without losing anything to get himself killed there too. Renard's actually been fairly active here.
Yeah, he's been solid there, all things said and done. And that is great news there in terms of... Word is, I lost track of my brain.
Okay, well, while we're doing that then, folks, thank you everyone for supporting us during this stream right now. Baneblade and Montes, thank you so much for your resubs, and everyone else who has been filing in as well. I know it's been a little while since we've been live. We took a bit of a break over winter. I understand that also as we come back, this is not necessarily the stream quality that we had just before the break as well. Hopefully we'll sort that out for future streams from this location, but we'll figure that out as it goes through. Onivia as well, we're not ignoring you either. It's just hard to have the chat up at the same time. I don't actually know what the stream quality is like over there, but we'll figure that out as time goes on. I hope you're enjoying yourselves. Feel free to hang out and chat. We'll get around to stuff when we can. A little bit harder for us to reply to chat today because we're only working off of the single screen here, so we have gameplay on, and it's pretty hard to have the chat at the same time. So we thank you for understanding. If you don't understand, well, you don't get a thank you.
Yeah, exactly. You just get an acknowledgement,
yeah,
and that's it. That's it. That's all you get.
Gosh, missed you too, Baneblade. Missed all of you. It's been it's not the same when we're not, you know, streaming for 1,000 hours a year.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot of hours.
Yeah, folks. So last year we streamed over 1,000 hours. I don't know if we cracked 1,100, but honestly, at that point, it feels a little bit. Whatever, you know. And I believe that Sam and I cast more games than anyone else in Tier 1 League of Legends in the world.
Quite a lot of games.
So for those of you who even join us for even a partial amount of that, thank you. It helps us keep doing what we're doing. We really enjoy what we're doing. As we move into 2026, we're likely going to have to be doing a lot of this as well. Can't be sure. Just the world for us, and stuff like Demacia Cup has been really enjoyable to watch, I have to say. It's, you know, that and Casper Cup, the off-season tournaments have always been a way to kind of keep things ticking over until Pro Team comes back. Dragon will go down. I will claim the first one of the game. Grubs went 2 to none, actually. Gunjab just taken the second one, and you just took the third one there. A little bit delayed. Cost of that is Way actually getting in for a jungle camp steal as well. So a trade of the early game objectives.
And they, of course, that bot side, help those wards, one over by the Raptors, one just in
those wards, rockets.
Yeah, just like the simulation, boys. But anyway, what's also like the simulation is the fact that Wukong is currently on vision, and that is great news for IG in terms of tracking what's happening with that jungle, who walked right over all of those wards, and now a very known quantity heading towards this bot lane. There's even a ward they're walking across right now. Junja will sweep it and stop it from doing its job, but I think in a lot of ways, Here is done. Wave
we
wants to
might
take
actually
this
have a
grab.
we might have a bigger fight here. You know, if Vampire can get in range, right, very quickly taken by Wait. Again, that's the play which I'm really looking to see if he can make a difference. Shoot, trade ult for ult. Dobro using his to disengage. That's Arcanult. Really nasty, going unstoppable through something like a Sound Hero ultimate. Quite nastily. Onto Vampire.
Land it into the Mega Inferno Bomb. Chains of Corruption. They throw out the Solar Flare to buy some time, but Vampire has been staked.
Wow, okay, really good play there again from IG, punishing the flashless Leona. That flash which Vampire invested aggressively, no, sorry, it was defensively, but the one that which he used earlier has really come back to bite him. And the problem with someone like Vampire is that, yes, very high ceiling in terms of what he can bring to... Hang on a second, Gal's going for a really big trade here.
He's in a 1v2, though, not respecting that the Nautilus could return, and Photic just picks up the kill.
What has happened to Gala and Vampire? I think clearly they were the best bot lane across the majority of this tournament. The Vampire's now died twice after blowing his flash earlier, as we were just mentioning. Gala going in for an ill-fortuned 1v2 there. I'm just predicting that Joy had roamed a little further away, and suddenly, you know, Photic 201. Photic is a player which has had a storied history in the LPL. Not all of those stories have been good. This guy has been up and he's been largely down, I think, in the community expectations. IG getting a leg up there is not what I expected from game one here.
He is on a ward, and so Xiaoshu backs away from that little trade top side. Will try and defend his ward down here. Junja now walking up as well, actually. I'm gonna look for something a bit more aggressive here. Wrapping around, I think it will just be to put some wards down and consider that done deal in terms of the mission. They favour the bold in this game, but it does feel like IG have largely been the ones that have come out on top of that with a little bit more prudence in terms of holding on. Wonderful hook! Photic flashes on forwards and has to cleanse to get some value back, but there's the Chains of Corruption into the arrow, and Gala is just dead. They will trade back at least as Vampire pounces on his opposite numbers AD carry. Vampire, though, still pulled back with that Dread Sign. The staggering blows keep coming on forwards, but I think support will combat will not lead in a future death, so it's a 1-for-1 bot side.
My worry here is that Vampire blows his flash again for that. He gets the kill, which means that Gala doesn't end up getting the gold for it either. And now, once again, the Leona, who is already 1-2, is a target for IG's big combo of the Nautilus hook into the Ziggs and the Varus over-the-head damage. IG, I think they're getting a huge win condition through this bot lane, despite Varus dying. I know that Varus dies here, but I'm just looking how this combo will play further into the game, and I get quite worried for JDG. You know, the initial play here, both supports engaging onto the AD carries, as all good supports should do. Big damage coming through from both sides. Yes, the damage bursty from both of them ends up meaning that the AD carries both go down, but the Leona losing the flash, as we said, may come to bite them.
It might, and again, this one-item spike of Eclipse, Luden's Companion, Ghostblade is just much stronger, really, than a zero-item Yunara, who normally is very strong at this point in the game. A Zero and a Wukong who really want a couple items. IG kind of at their point of ascendancy, really, in the game.
Checking the objective Timeless Dragon in less than a minute, but imagine that's something we should want to fight over. We haven't really seen Junja and Hongqiu, the CFO LCP duo, have much of an impact so far. We see that San's going for a bit of a Proxy on top side to avoid the matchup against Zarhan. Of course, did get solo killed earlier on, but that assist has been stabilizing a little as things go on. Vampire, hang on, Sobra, my dude. Now the thing is, you do this when no one is on your side of the map. I suppose what he wants to do is say, alright, there's a dragon spawning in like 10 seconds on. You can go, you know, get that, and I'll try and buy time on the top side. And in fairness,
he gets out.
He actually just get out, credit to him. And what this means is Vampires run towards top side. They are now late for the dragon setup on the bot side.
The Arc of Judgment slow on to Dway probably stops a potential hook attempt from the Nautilus. Enough job of staying safe. That does mean he loses a bit of this wave and probably a turret play here. Dodges the piercing arrow at least. 8 gold, not quite there.
What's happening with this? So remember, Vampire went topside to stop the proxy farm from Sobra, and I wonder whether that could have been a mistake. Well, it depends if JDG wanted to fight this as well. Give up the dragon, IG claim that. I think as soon as Vampire showed topside, it showed that JDG realistically couldn't do much about that dragon.
Yeah, that's kind of the way of it. Result, claim that second dragon for themselves. It will be a Chem Soul this game, which is not bad when you got a Scion of all things. Nautilus as well. Also does enjoy that. And Bessa, all these people, very good at playing around lots of CC and Acity and low HP bars, all those things. You know?
That's actually worth noting there, because Chem Dragons give you tenacity, heal, and shield power. There are 3 shielders on the side of IG. They'll definitely enjoy those extra bits of shielding. But then the extra bit too is, if you compare both of these supports, one of them has use from tenacity against them. Leona you can use tenacity against. First tower of the game they're going towards Renard gets himself a bunch of gold there. Nautilus you can't. So even if you give up some basic dragons, if you get a couple of Chemtech dragons, they are more valuable for you because they help you against Vampire's Leona. By JDG get them, doesn't help against Nautilus of Joy.
Really, staggering blows alone, sometimes it's worth getting some CC resistance against anyway, but it's not really getting any extra value from that. Again, I'll note the game is not exactly out of reach right now. It's only 1,000, 2,000 gold, something like that. For IG in the advantage, and that's not bad for a team that is going to be scaling into the game very well. Zahen, Azir, Wukong yet to really hit their true breakpoint, so Brawl IG have definitely been getting the better of this early game. It's not to a game-winning extent yet.
No. It's only under 2,000 gold. IG, of course, got those feats of strength, which allows them a little bit more power. You know, there's some stuff which is off the scoreboard. But yes, JDG are one good team fight away from completely stabilizing this game. And that's definitely within their capabilities. You know, you catch out someone like Photic, maybe, before he gets something like the Edge of Night. It'd be a big pick-off. We'll see whether he managed to do that. That's where I'll be particularly looking at, especially Hongq. He can get himself a sweep into the big play from Junja or Vampire. Probably JDG's way into even footing in this game.
Agreed.
Sam, aren't you quite worried that for a team with a Vampire on it, quite a lot of sun power?
That is true. There is a certain Astarian element to this Vampire.
Hang on. Whoa. I will say. If you're going to quote the full unconcentrated power of the sun, that is not a Baldur's Gate 3 original lane. That is a reference to Megamind.
It is true.
That's a Megamind thing. It's the the song beat.
Concentrated power of the sun. It's true.
Yeah. So get yourself learned. Watch that film. It's really good. In fact, we actually watched it over the holiday break. It was fresh in the mind.
Just the term atrocity alone just makes me giggle. What can I say?
Yeah, I'm
glad.
Pick
up the flower! It's there in front of you, Sobero!
Yes. We're all gardeners here, trust. Are they getting rid of the blood titles next season?
I would assume so with Atakan
They're getting rid of Atakan. I do, yeah. Atakan swept in for a season, ruined a bunch of pro games, lost KT Game 5 with us, and then just pieced out to cinematic after dying. Like, that's just peak League of Legends.
LeBlanc's work here is done.
Yeah. Good job.
LeBlanc got a win, guys!
Woo. Yeah, I know, it's crazy. Potential fight on this bot side now. Wei could go for a big play. Vampire does have his flashback.
It's not too much more happening there. A little bit of a sundering slam. That's about that.
Whenever, well, I guess Ziggs was never going into that place as also side of the map. So a little bit hypey there, but then again, you know, one item spike from Demacia does a decent amount of work. Game slowed down. Probably gonna wait to, well, I was about to say wait until the next Dragon Spawn. We might still get a fight here, actually.
There with the swipe. Much more than that. Hongq looking for potential angle onto Renard, who has just burned that minefield. Oh dear. He went looking for that and did not find it. It is the flash blown on Renard. I was trying to figure out who had flashed that, and it is Renard indeed who pulled that trigger. So we'll survive that.
That was honestly pretty nice from Renard. Quick reactions, put the satchel at his feet, potentially interrupt the Azir mid-flow, flashed away from that ultimate. Got a good chunk there. Flash down on Ziggs though, that is a good win all the same for Hongq.
Work there. Still coming away with some fruits of his labor. Flash is the harvest, I suppose, in this particular case. Photic into the mid lane, trading out with Gala, is at that 2-item mark, waiting to get that Muramana transformation. Varus notoriously stacks this very slowly, guys, at tier level. Does need the Muramana, the Manamune rather, in inventory in order to get reasonable amounts of stacks, because it's just not the fastest stacking thing on that champion.
True, I will say, a lot of the time Varus is just leave until 3rd or 4th item. Just because it just feels like it is more valuable for you to get the raw lethality of another item. Yes, Muramana is a good upgrade, but whatever. It's not like Varus needs it compared to stuff like the Ezreal, who's hitting you with multiple skills and getting multiple procs of it. Brought the Slayer then onto Honky. Dragon has spawn. We'll see if Honky wants to teleport down for this. I don't know what JDG's damage output looks like without Izir here, so presumably he needs to be down there if they want to contest.
He's not here as you're noting. Those is Soberall. Both of them have teleport, so that ability to join. They're now trying to retreat and find an angle to get in here.
I think Soberall's going to mark him. I think he's just going to mark him. He can just hold his ult. He might even trade his solo kill on top side to stop the teleport. Soberall's been playing a bit more of the, you know, the thinking Scion's game in top side with stuff like ults out to safety after proxying. Dragon's not started yet. Just keep an eye on that mini-map. Now San and Zir both roaming down. They both want to come to the party.
That they do. Dropping the Heralds.
Hang on, they've lost the mark on Azir. Azir can actually come in from the shuffle here. Watch out for that. They spot the vision plant upside. Herald uses the counterweight mid. Dobra pushing at top lane. Slow setup around this dragon.
Gets the charge. The turret's HP bar is deleted as a result. Doesn't quite hold the wards here. Definitely in favor of JDG though. Nautilus potentially asked to face check, will burn the Ghost to try and get forwards. Now they get the hook, but it's onto Vampire, not necessarily the most valuable target as yet. The Eclipse Shield buys a lot of time. Shield of Daybreak, Exhaust onto way. TP's now flying. Watch on the other side. They get onto the backline. Not necessarily that much damage as yet, but they still get Renard into a difficult spot. The Wukong trying to Cyclone is immediately deleted, but Renard is low. Grim Deliverance, flash on forward. The Aureate Rush brings down those Ziggs. The extended fight now looking good for JDG, who continue to start altering. Gala flashing away, has got that Transcender running alongside the Cultivation of Spirit. Way potentially looking to go forwards again. Ends up being a 2-for-2 Blast Cone, empowered by all of that Chemtech energy, puts Xiaoxu difficult spot, doesn't have the passive rolling, gets knocked up, not quite there on the passive and falls. Gala though, continuing cultivating Spirit, but he's in a 1v3, takes one with him, but will die.
Invictus Gaming team fighting, baby. You can change the members over the years, but they're the same team which smack you around in the 5v5s. Initially, I thought it was going to be a good play for JDG after they caught the flashless Ziggs. We'll see that at the start of this replay. Vampire got onto that backliner. Problem is, after that point, you have very little left to deal with the front line of IG doing a significant amount of work. Xiaoxu is trying to get himself good value on the Zion, but he finds himself too out of position. And despite the fact that your mid lane and AD carry are dead, at this point in the game, the Ambessa from the jungle and the Scion can actually do teamfight winning damage. You don't expect it at this point, but everyone manages to get into melee range, and IG managed to use the extra HP that they have on the likes of their jungler to win out.
Gala is forced to backstep away from his own Wukong there because of the Nautilus hook, so take another couple seconds to get involved there. And also shout out, I think Xiaoxu, when Leona went over the wall, failed his Aureate Rush over the wall, and so had to take another 2-3 seconds to get to the Ziggs.
That is not what you want. Xiaoxu on the parry in this top side does have a decent amount of gold in pocket. He will need to do better on the front later in the game. Again, the gold is not massively out of proportion. It's 2,000 gold. However, at this point, IG do have, you know, feats of strength starting to come into the equation. If you upgrade those Merc Treads for IG, you feel very, very good against the likes of Leona. He is hitting you. And of course, they've got soul points as well, charging up. Not Herald. Atakant spotted. Oh god, this objective, can't wait for it to be gone. Let's see if it'll give us one last flip here.
Well, breakfast burgers potentially on the cards. The double poke of Photic and Renard very much online at this point. JDG can't afford to wait around too long. Atakant down to 6,000.
Renard's got himself that flash. Xiaoxu trying to charge at the passive.
Dungeon goes in, got the Cyclone rolling, has to back away as the depth charge comes on down, gets him low. The Redemption will undo some of the Ziggs burst.
Yeah, so Redemption onto way as well. Low health Ambessa. Maybe that will be... I think we're flipping it, folks. We're full on flipping it.
Sion goes charging in, misses the ult. Solar Flare at the back end. Ambessa secures the smite. Fight afterwards continues. Dredgeline, the Ambessa in the backline with that public execution brings down Gala. The only thing being celebrated is his life and death. Zahen gets the passive, will be able to reset, but Renan trading out onto Junja. The Monkey King falls, dethroned by the little Yordle with far too many explosives. Xiaoshu hopped away towards Wei, has got that Repudiate to get the shield. Away says no way. Hongyu will instead type QQ as he's left in tears. The Rift is a bloodbath, but IG emerge from it victorious.
Invictus Gaming win out in the 5v5 again. They get the Atakan, they get the fight, and Wei on the Ambessa 7-0-2 is the big beneficiary. I will say though, looking beyond the scoreline, I think my MVP for this game so far has been Jue's Nautilus. This guy, he's missed 1 or 2 hooks here and there, but his combo on the Nautilus is the go button for IG. If he lands that hook onto someone, someone's going down. He's done a magnificent job of keeping Vampire in check and keeping the enemy carries on the back foot. Really loving this combo from IG. The Nautilus, Varus, Ziggs kind of point and click combo as soon as 1 CC lands has made JDG's life very, very hard.
When Jue was really kind of saying, hey guys, I might be one of the best supports in the LPL this year, especially when people like Missing stepped away, when people like On were being, and are still being, very inconsistent. The best support in the league conversation is turning back to people like Mako, who had some bad games himself. We all remember that Blitzcrank game with mild horror. Dway on the Nautilus was always a monster this year, and this fight was very, very dangerous.
Yeah, and again, you can see the start of this, it doesn't look great, but then you see the second one. He goes for it again, both carries lined up against each other. Not gonna lie, those carries should never be stood like that against the wall in the first place, but Dway punishes off cooldown, and it makes things so nasty. Xiaoshu gets a huge ultimate. I thought that the Zahen could actually turn this around. I thought we were gonna get to see, you know, some 2025 game design from League of Legends. But couldn't quite manage to see it out again because too much of your damage is already gone. Hongyu is dead. Gala, sorry, it's too low. Gala is already dead. They didn't have the DPS. IG just doing better at piecing together bits of damage at the end of a team fight.
Shout out to Wei there as well. Played out that Ambessa fight exceptionally well. Is 7-0-2. Don't have that much consistent damage. We say, well, now your Ambessa is well ahead of curve. There's your consistent cleanup damage.
You know, things are only going to get worse for JDG from here. You have luxury items starting to come in from IG.
Oh, yeah.
A Death Stance from Wei is really, really nasty. Death Stance is one of the best items in the game. I'm surprised it hasn't rocked pro play nearly as much as it could have done the last year or so, to the point where actually if you're an Eclipse builder, this is actually better as a first item. There's some big fight in the bot side jungle. We'll see if it comes to play here.
Redemption's flying. Out comes the Varus ultimate, buying some time, and that's a very deep spot for Silver. Junja forced to flash away. 1v3 Mecha Inferno Bomb. Chunks out 3. Zahen will throw down a Grim Deliverance. Should get the passive rolling. Not quite flash on forward. Will now get that passive, but no! It's not quite there. Gala to the backside. Tried to the Spirit. Cultivating. Flash over the wall. Boating knocked to safety. Oh no! Hongyu trying to throw him to the waiting arms of Gala. And Gala can't finish it up. And Invictus Gaming victorious despite, I fear, their best efforts.
A 5-0 out of nowhere for IG. What are we fighting over? Who the hell knows? I guess we're fighting for the game. With the Ziggs, I think they might be able to push for minimum inhibitor. I don't think they can finish the game with 20 seconds. I think they'd be pushing it. They might just well go for it. Why the hell not? Let's go for the game.
So say at this point, you've got the Ziggs. You can delete these turrets pretty damn fast. It will disappear. Can you look to double satchel this? They're going to try.
They're going to try.
That's both dead. Now on to the Nexus we go.
Oh
Vampire cleanses out of the chains of corruption, but can't cleanse death. The Nexus falls in favor of Victor's Gaming. Team fight win. Blink it, you miss it, the game is over.
Goddamn. IG find a 5-0 out of nowhere, and what I would call the underdogs come away with a Game 1 victory against expectations. Huge performance from the bot lane of IG. You know, you've got a bunch of players who've played for different orgs here between the two of them. And for me, you know, you've got Gala and Vampire who both played on IG at different points. I'm looking at this now and saying, well, folks, Gala and Vampire, they need to step up. They have been so much more impactful than that in the rest of this tournament. That is not how we expected them to play. They need to start shoring themselves up.
Well, we're here. It feels like Invictus Gaming certainly decided they're turning up today as well. JDG kind of just had to blink and miss it on that one. Look, the comp was supposed to do a bit of scaling. Xiaoxu starts the game with that great solo kill early on. You saw the angles back in, but despite getting towards some of those items, they just never really got a clean team fight where Gala and Honkyu were allowed to just auto away.
Gotta say as well, you know, I called out Dre in that game saying, look, this guy's had a really good game in a lot of these big team fights. The real player you need to keep your eyes on here, though, is Wei. Wei was so exceptionally good on the Ambassador. As soon as I saw it locked in his second pick, I thought, well, it's a good champion, but is it worth effectively blind picking game one? Well, it wasn't blind. But was it so worth putting in at that point? He said, emphatically, yes. Every team fight, Wei was a force of nature. There was right around Adacon where I thought, well, maybe he's lost too much HP to make this work. No, he's proved me wrong there. And we'll watch through this replay here. This is the first time where I was like, okay, yeah, Wei can actually be a team fight winning menace here, as long as he just gets some damage down. The end of this team fight cleanups instead. The one later around the Adacon, that's where I kind of started going, well, you know, he can actually start leveraging the other CC on his team to dip in and out of the fight much better. This guy has such a good game.
Again, not able to rejoin his team there partway through. Look, is able to at least take the Nautilus with him, but it's still a 1v3 with no HP bar. And look, you're a Yunara. You're able to do damage. The ability to receive and deal with it, very limited. You aren't a Bloodthirster builder. You aren't a tank. You aren't a bruiser. You are a short-range AD carry. And you end up trading in those 1vx scenarios, which is 1-for-1. Very difficult to do all that much more as a Yunara in that scenario.
This one was so nice. I will say, I think Xiaoxu very nearly carried a couple of these fights. It's just, when you're something like the Aatrox, Renekton, Zahen, if you misuse your mobility even slightly, the fight is pretty much done at a pro level. You can't really survive around to your second round of mobility that easily, and I think that was a huge difference for them. Honkyu, I don't think he had a bad game on the Azir. I just don't think there was much for him to do. He had to be too respectful of the Ambassador and the Nautilus, and then obviously the game just ended off this. Yep. Oh, I just didn't expect it to end like this. Gala tried his best to be that kind of, I'm going to trade 1-for-1 in the backline kind of AD carry, but he fell so far behind that even he couldn't be the game-ending threat, which he has been for much of the tournament.
Again, Xiaoxu, not a bad game on this Zahen, but it's just quite enough. And all the while, look, Wei gets a hold of Junja. They tried to bring Photic down here in a second. Honkyu gets the shuffle, brings him back to Gala, but between Renard and Photic, they're still able to bring down the Yunara despite all of that, and just falls apart from there, and the game is a done deal at that point. And understandably, it will be Wei who gets our MVP, who had an excellent game.
He was fantastic. Going at Deathless, and you know, throughout this game first, we're saying, well, is Ambassador going to be diving in alone? And then, you know, the Silent Infernus did follow with, and then Nautilus followed with, and that made it a little easy. Well, okay, there's a lot of damage in there. Ooh, it's a little bit dangerous. It doesn't die the entire game. It has ridiculous kill participation, ridiculous damage. Does a whole lot of work. We're going to get ourselves a refill on coffee, I think,
absolutely.
Folks. Run some ad breaks, but you stay right. Well, you don't have to stay right there, but at least, you know, keep the stream open.
Within the window of that.
Yeah, and if you'd like to support us, now Sam and I, this is our career, this is what we do. We cast League of Legends for a living. We love doing it. However, we do need help from you to keep doing this. Please do. Yeah, the more that you like, comment, subscribe, do things like that, the more it shows that we can keep doing for a living, really. So if you want to show some appreciation, there's stuff like a Ko-fi link, which is occasionally dropped in the chat. Go click through that and help keep your casters warm when set. I mean, it's very easy. We're going to get ourselves a coffee and we'll see you after an amount of time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, Sam, just put them somewhere. Give it to me.
Do you want to put the coffee on?
Yes, please.
yeah. Oh, you better focus, I'm locked and loaded. This ain't a game, you can forfeit. We back to trophies, better not get cold. We ain't starving, I heard the team was dinner, now they garbage. We mobbing, y'all really goofy, that ain't not a problem. I'm cautious, I've been on this snakes, just a garden. We novice, operations down in my apartment. They blocking, OG with the K, ain't no stopping. Better not let me out this shade, they catch the problem. You can keep the rings, we just want the crowd. You can keep the rings, we just want the crowd. When the shots fire, my soul at ease, yeah. If I go down, I might cause a scene, yeah. Them scheme, them go to sleep, yeah. They don't wanna come war with me, yeah. When the shots fire, my soul at ease, yeah. If I go down, I might cause a scene, yeah. Them scheme, them go to sleep, yeah. They don't wanna come war with me, yeah. Make it run, Ricky run, run, Ricky run. Make it run, Ricky run, run, Ricky run. Make it run, Ricky run, run, Ricky run. Make it run, Ricky run, run, Ricky run.
One chance for the world, one hope can save us now. Our time for history. Brave hearts will win the day. Run strong all the way. It's time for you and me, 'cause nothing can hold us down. On the ground, nothing can hold us down. On the ground, we can be heroes. We can be heroes. We can be heroes. Step up, take it on. No turning from the storm. It's time now for what's to come. Together we will stand 2 feet on the ground. Let's hope now for better days, 'cause nothing can hold us down. On the ground, nothing can hold us down. On the ground, we can be heroes. We can be heroes.
各位观众，欢迎回来！我们要继续进行2025年德玛西亚杯的总决赛，来自于 JDG 跟 IG 的 BO5，看看谁能问鼎冠军。大家好，我是解说基德。
大家好，我是9695。
好，在第2场比赛开始之前，我们要特别感谢本次赛事的主办方以及独家直播平台虎牙直播，以及同时也要感谢 W1 主场对本次赛事的全程制作。来虎牙观赛领好礼，一键发送弹幕就可以领取我们的随机图标打卡观赛任务，抽取至臻梅尔冰雪节系列皮肤、外设周边等好礼。现在前往 Web 网页页面下拉页面，或者是点击 APP 右上角就可以来参与我们活动抽取好礼。以及2025 LPO 官方授权卡是我们的杰作 Masterpiece 系列，12月30日已经正式的发售了。简约与优雅交织，烫金与压纹工艺融合，更有选手队服及鼠标垫等珍贵物料卡，让你仿佛亲临赛场，感受电竞的激烈以及荣耀。稀有签名、极致收藏、小程序收。
Hello, hello. Welcome back, folks. We are here. A couple minutes till the next game. We have coffeenated. Yeah, that's the one. I've never made that pun before.
大的一个比赛的一个中期这款，但胜利就不用拿到大龙 buff 的一个一波就带走了。看看 JDG 第2局的蓝色方他们会有什么样的
so we're all good.
以第1局的
How's everyone enjoying themselves? First game. I think a lot of people would see that as an upset. I personally do. And yeah, as we come into the second game, the question will be effectively. Oh, we're on JDG stage. I'm sorry, brains all over. Was that we're on JDG stage here? Where was I going? Yes, bot lane, can this consistently be kept up from IG? I don't know whether their champion pools will be large enough to have... I mean, let's be honest, this is their best champions in the RSN. I suppose you could say that Fotic's better on stuff like Sana. Whatever, but realistically, it's the top string champions from them. And they compete against this bot lane, which has been very good this turn on the second string of champions once they start falling.
That will be a question, won't it?
Yep, disaster.
And yeah, I guess the answer, such as it is, be more on Fotic. Fotic in particular has been left out in the cold a little bit in the LPL. Reason has been on teams with Rookie in the past, because Rookie not playing today. Renard actually doing fantastic job here. That game 1 at the very least on the Ziggs of holding Honky out. But the overriding trajectory of Fotic has been streaks where people really believe on him. I remember some very scary times back on, I want to say, OGNI, I think it was V5, E5 back in the day, when Fotic and Duo were looking like the best bot lane in the league. Senna, Nymaera, all this fun stuff. Rookie on this team looking so good, and then they fell off a cliff. And they are notoriously, Fotic in particular, very, very streaky. When things start going wrong, they don't do so quietly.
Okay. Did you say on socials that live for finals? I did on my I'm not gonna lie. Reach for I guess I could. Yeah, have this picture from the basement. But yeah, I did put it on Discord. Weirdly, Twitter's not very good for reach.
选手们本来就会去进行沟通，可能说谁没闪，对吧？然后关键的装备，但如果有遗漏的，教练这时候就可以介入，然后开始进行一些提醒啊。因为我们常说的，在赛场上面瞬息万变，你不只要去考虑跟你对线的人，对吧？你的发育可能会有一些当局者迷的一个情况。对，从妈妈
Into draft we go. So game 2. Things to be questioned about whether IG can keep up the run of form. In that bot lane. JDG on the other side, they'll want to stabilize really around that. Very similar bans to our first set. So Syndra was in the second round of bans in the first game. Leah first pick, okay, different mid lane dynamic. No Syndra or Oriana to outrange it. And Rise match the global with global or semi-global with semi-global. Sam, stop taking selfies. You've taken 5 now. One of them will work. Trust me.
Blurry.
What? That's quite legitimately a skill issue, Sam.
It's a lighting issue, actually.
He grab blocking in the bot lane pick. The misfortune, we highlighted it in that last draft. As something that can actually be very lane dominant. But now the Sion is out from that first game and the Malphite is banned. A lot of the tanks which can actually give Misfortune some issues aren't out of the pool. I suppose Cassante would be one of the other big ones. Ori being hovered for Renard. They played earlier in the tournament. Good matchup into the Talia, actually. A lot of people think, oh, but it's a dash champion versus an anti-dash champion. The thing is, Ari can sometimes just log off that damage and then kill you anyway. Depends on the power level on the patch, really. If Ari gets enough damage to get ahead of the Taliyah, Taliyah can actually do quite little against Ari in a 1v1 and has to kind of fall back onto 5v5. With that in mind, want to get yourself a strong mid-jungle combination and something which Taliyah can stand behind in a team fight. I am actually eyeing up something like that Sensei ready for Xiaoshu. If they do end up finding that matchup, they'll have to hold that for 4 and 5, but that's really what should be on their mind. Second backliner locked in. Double Riemann carries Taliyah, Sivir, Alistar combos up well too. The Sivir carries the Alistar through lane. It's a strong duo and comfortable champions for both sides.
And one I'll of note as well is, again, we're seeing a much sort of later game spike from JDG. The Sivir is a 3-item carry, making about it. Taliyah better early on, again, once you get the level 6 plays, but again, a couple items is kind of nice. Alistar, not exactly what you call dominant. At the very least this time with the Sivir, you should be able to fight for lane priority fairly well again. Nymaera, in fairness, did do that well early on. It was just after the first couple levels it didn't mean that much, especially after Vampire ended up blowing that flash in the unfortunate play where Wei was waiting in the bush. Kind of loss of the flash really hurt them in the bot side. Plays out this game, but Fortunari, a bit of an earlier spike, the 1-item spike there again. Where IG managed to kind of just take control of the game, not massively, and again, only 1,000, 2,000 gold, but it was them in the driver's seat. That ended up giving them a lot of license to take the game in directions that they chose it to go, even if the word response options. The second phase of bans is coming on through. A bit slower in deciding exactly what they want to get rid of. Tante, some of those annoying top lane tanks. Nari not exactly the best at dealing with, particularly in the mid-game spaces. Jarvan on the other side would be a very nasty combo with them. In particular, the Shock Blast combo. Nari very good at following up on one another's bits of CC as well. So you can see why that champion, which has been very, very strong over the last few patches, very potent pick for Wei in particular, is just being taken off the board. I'm imagining another AD skirmisher from the jungle might well be removed. And that's that Shinzao they were concerning.
IG have themselves... They do have themselves a bit of wombo, lots of ability to go forwards. Getting past the Alistar is a bit of a problem right now. Base is out, on. Give other follow-up damage that IG can have. They'd like to have stuff follow up a long range if possible. Stuff dive into the play. Connecting strong lane. They'll lock that in as their blind pick. Very interesting to me that they do want the counter pick in jungle matchups. I think most pro teams would rather have counter pick top lane. I think Wei being such an important member of IG and really the person which can... I'm just very disappointed with something. Makes me think there's something gone wrong.
But it hasn't.
Did you forget to breathe, Sam?
That possibly
okay,
is the honest answer. Yeah,
Xiaoshu,
knowing me, yeah.
Thinking about the Jax into the Renekton, could be jungle, but it comes out here. Locked in towards that top lane. Jungle pool getting a bit thin on the ground. What is Wei going? Last pick. They had held jungle last pick for something. Is it going to be something that, well, I suppose LGD showed the Morgana last pick jungle. Not last pick jungle, in the semi-finals. Didn't work out for them, but potentially something that we locked in here. Ah, yeah, Kiana. Way through the bans in first game. Often a pick we've unpicked here in Demacia Cup and Kesper Cup. Well, Pantheon's pretty good into the Kiana. It would be, I suppose, against the accepted matchup here a little bit. Locked in anyway. The Kiana saying, alright, I don't care that I'm into the likes of that Pantheon which can point and click me. I will just outplay.
JDG, that Pantheon Taliyah double global combo. Towards the Jax, you can play towards the Sivir, who should be able to either fight or get shoved. Be a bit scary, especially for the Renekton and Misfortune, who sure can be very lane dominant in the 1v1s. When they start getting jumped on, can have a bit of a rougher time, especially if they do start falling behind. Can just become pretty easy targets to grab a hold of, so we need to track that Pantheon and Taliyah very well while Invictus Gaming in the mid game. They could well end up with a man drop on top of their head, and, you know.
Into game 2 then. I think that overall, trying to think who's gone by favor more. Look, if Wei has a really good game on the Kiana can do some pretty nasty things in this series, in this game. There is the Pantheon, which can occasionally just full combo you. Alistar can sometimes struggle with that, because your combo can sometimes slow to catch Kiana without that flash. I am looking at Vampire though on this Alistar. It's one of the most comfortable champions. He has flash up into a big AoE team fight. Maybe he can be the difference.
have to be the option from Victor's Gaming. Oh boy, the one item spike again is so strong. Somewhere between level 6 and 9 with those first abilities getting max, first ultimates coming on through. Sure. Dominus, Supreme Display of Talent, Ari diving in with the Spirit Rush, Bullet Time coming on top of everything. That kind of mid-game skirmishing, early game skirmishing, very potent from Victor's Gaming.
Yeah, wait, Sam, what's the... I'm going to need to tell you, what's the generation which is currently growing up on TikTok right now? So we had like Gen Z, Millennials...
Is it Gen Alpha?
Okay, so you've missed out on the Gen Alpha humor. Could have said somewhere between levels
6 and 7.
It's a very strong one, I like. Yeah.
Did you see the Grinch?
Oh.
Don't worry about it, the gyros happening. Just leave it that quite. To finish that perplexing line of thought,
the Grinch.
There was one of the Grinch body actors. I think I want to say Universal Studios will be where it is. And they had kids going 6, 7, and then Grinch would go 8, 9. And the kids would go, no! Oh, she's wonderful.
Damn Grinch ruining
6, 7 specifically.
Good to Jax for next matchup in top lane. Xiaoxu, of course, solo killed Soboro in the early levels of game 1. This is a matchup which can definitely bring some pretty heated trades. Pretty well studied at this point. Both teams warded out the bush at level 1. There's a potential of Vampire walking around looking for a double pull. Yeah, they're looking for the wraparound here.
Here we go.
That depends what Phoenix... Okay, so they should spot them here.
Back away from it. Gala will trade auto with auto. Of course, this is the misfortune at level 1. Does have slightly better autos, but the ricochet should allow them to at least fight for control of that lane.
Anyway. This is the thing. If you ricochet the wave, you just always win the push on level 1. I think ricochet level 1 for Sivir is one of the most broken things about this champion. Right now, in the past, you kind of had to go for Q start for the best trading against champions. That doesn't really feel like the case anymore. Tight trades and top side to Xiaoxu keep his stacks up. He's got an extra counter strike.
Counter strike at the level 1. Supra will try and trade back a little bit there with the Ruthless Predator, and so, to be fair, HP bar a little bit lower. It's got the Rage now stacking, but now Xiaoxu without that counter strike. Some more damage, leap strikes forwards, counter strike. Trading. Bro does miss that minion, I saw that.
He does, because he has to back off now, because he's afraid of Xiaoxu going for a flash counter strike on the way in. He's used the empowered Q, getting low HP here. Sobro losing out on the early trades. Jax at the very early levels is a pain in the ass to deal with.
LA champions not always having the most fun into that. The extended trades got pretty dicey there. Sobro couldn't match the healing with the counter strike.
The big thing there is that Xiaoxu on each of those shorter trades probably got an extra auto in, and he managed to keep up the passive stacks a little longer. So I think Sobro was prepared for. Xiaoxu is a player which I've had a lot of respect for the last few years. I mean, I was around for his debut actually. Good flick back onto Gala, just spell shield. A follow-up stun, it's a great trade back, but yeah, back to Xiaoxu. It's a player which I've seen since debut, and he is a fantastic Renekton player himself. His Sanze is very notable, but his Jax is definitely in his active champion pools, and he's been better than Sobro in the individual early lane both games so far.
Now fully cleaned up that jungle. We'll be looking for that Scuttle Crab spawn. Topside is a lot of low health bars. And Wei maybe about to run into each other. The Scryer's Bloom will spot out the Pantheon, who does put the ward down after the plant does. So will not lose that ward that is now on Raptors.
Basically, Wei just wanted to make sure that... Hang on, that's a good bump back from Bab there, actually. Done good trading onto Dway, who's had a bit of a rough time in this early lane.
Gets that last double up auto onto Gala, saying, ha! Eat my water gun blast.
Gala and Vampire should know that Xiaoxu... Hang on a second, that's a jungling at top side.
I think Sobro is just a dead man. Will try and clear up the wave best he can. Is he going to try and clean up some minions? I think he is. There's a flash to deny it. That's fabulous. Sobro flashes as well. Wait, hang on. This is getting a bit messy. Honku now turning up. Threaded volleys, throwback with the seismic shove, and that will fall down. Dway gets headbutted out of his crash down, flashing away now, but Wei is on the bot side, but they still manage to pick up at least the support. Gala will likely die here, and does. Kiana picks that one up. Gone forward with the audacity. Will not be able to pick up Vampire as well, but it is a
the wave looking like? So the wave's going to get pushed in. I don't think Vampire can hold this wave now. Junja's going to come down. Make sure he's on Krugs and make sure that can come through safely in terms of that bot lane. So it is Wei that gets the kill on the Kiana. Normally you judge it by, okay, does the AD carry get ahead? Gala got the kill here. but Gala also died. He'll miss out on a couple of minions, and the Kiana getting a kill is a problem. So Joy taken a lot of damage early on. He ended up getting he ended up getting a double Q. Of course, he did get cancelled out of his crash down. Right in saying that. Of course, I still think, you know, looking at this, they knew that jungler was bot side. That was a very risky play to make. It ends up being a bit of a high roll for them, coming out with a 1 kill. But I thought that could have gone worse than actually, knowing that way should have been going for bot scuttle.
Yeah. I think if Joy was able to get out some of those minions, crash down before the Q finishes kind of its CC chain, had that little bit of an opportunity to get out before the Alistair could do anything, could have gotten out there, didn't quite get the timing right with some of those minions, the Shattering Strike CC out. So there is a nice charm there on Honky for a little trade.
Interesting, Renard's gone for Airy this game. I don't like that particularly in this game. I suppose going for the Q-tap is fine. You go for Airy when you want real lane dominance, and it's not awful for that, but I think in this game, you really want to build up towards one-shot potential. Of course, it sucks now that your lane opponent has been given a free kill. Cerberus gave the kill over to not the Jax, wanted to keep his own matchup in check somewhat. I can understand that, if Renard now has to pay the price of playing against a laner that's ahead of the game a little.
And question, I suppose, from my end. Why go Airy for lane dominance over something like the Electrocute? Is it just how often it procs?
Yeah, if you get the max range of your Q, it just procs on that. And if you're going for singular autos, it means that you're not playing on the Electrocute cooldown, which means that you can always go for harder trades to a certain extent. I didn't see what his other runes are. Same kind of thing with bone plating, where you trade hard when it's up, and then you have to wait a wave until it comes back up once it's been depleted. Gala doesn't change that much spell shield. Not used well there, actually.
Getting that flash as a result. You're right, Kiana's here, level 5.
I was going to say, they're quite low HP here. Waze actually with getting close towards kill range there. And once again, you know, the bot lane of Gala and Vampire have done a lot better in this game. They've done quite well at chunking out Jway, but made a couple of mistakes here and there, which make you question whether they are on full form here right now.
Yeah, this time they got the Cull cashing in. There's a zoom out as the Dragon's being started by IG. Are we playing this? Junja could flash in and does. Over the wall they go, looking to turn to Gala, who's going to get the exhaust down. In goes Wade, though, and that's a very dead Civic. Wade getting a lot of CC down, preventing Junja from doing too much more. Will finally kill off at least one, but the supreme display of talent into the resets. And Invictus Gaming win the skirmish in the river.
Love the way in which way and Renard played out that fight. The aggressive jump forwards from Renard onto Gala, who didn't have the safety to survive through that fight. Timing out the exhaust from the Alistair until you could go for the full kill pressure after. Hang on, Renard could potentially kill here.
The threaded volley was blocking so many of the minions were blocking so much of the threaded volley. That's how that sentence works. But either way, Honku lose that big. We'll go back to the replay.
So Junja charged up his passive off of the red buff, choosing to leave that, flashes over and looks for a big play. But Renard makes sure that the follow-up isn't in position. And the engage on the other side, it's onto a rel. It doesn't matter. You've lost your AD carry. Enemy team's lost their rel. Whoop-de-doo. Resets come through. Level 6 hit from the kills by the Kiana mid-team fight. And IG walk away with another grouped-up fight win.
And Wei now with that first strike, with those 3 kills, is now well ahead of the game. Has got the Profane Hydra early. Someone queue up the Pendulum track. It's not quite the same, but you know, for those who know, they know, you know?
Profane Nightmares.
Da, da, da. I once played that in a West End theatre to several hundred people.
I do love me some Pendulum. You know, they actually had a album last year.
Yes, they're also playing a download this year.
There's a song on that called Halo, which that was a featured track from Matt's Hut from Bullet for My Valentine. It was really good. It was really good.
Is it does it feature someone finishing the fight? Small electric blue ladies. Halo, Alex.
Oh yeah. No, I thought it was the initial track. Hang on, there's a good bullet time there. Over half HP on Scarlet. He could actually die here to Wei.
Running riot might be what we're about to see as Wei can think about an Audacity forwards here.
This is a dead Gala.
Is so not having a good time.
Instant kill by Wei onto, of course, his old AD carry. Gala, you left us. A little bit of you back home. In a casket, that Gala going down against his old team, of course. Yep. Lots of matchups here which mean a little bit more. Heavy trades in the mid lane. Renard's actually going towards the Blackfire Torch first item. A little bit more of this crop up through Cresper Cup and Demacia Cup. Slower burn build. Likely going towards something like the Cosmic Drive or the Horizon Focus second item. As always, I'm obligated to say, regardless of what Ahri build you go, get a Dark Seal first back. It's your best item in the game. Just loses you out some of that top tier carry potential if the game goes right for you. Renard, excited to see what he can do. He's been actually, I really like the way that he's been jumping forwards to make plays so far.
It's a little bit of a wave or two to make some plays here and there, but largely it's been worthwhile, right? And again, Honkyu 1-0-1 is still in a good spot. The Talia is a very comfortable champion for him, and make no mistake, this man could definitely do some damage in the mid game with Junja. This duo from the LCP do a hell of a lot of damage coming into the LPL, and with Pantheon Talia, if you can start playing towards a Xiaoshu on one of these side lanes, you've certainly got the ability to turn this game back around. My problem is, I remember how this looked last game with only 1,000 gold. That's like 2.5 now for IG, with a comp that is about to spike, well, right now.
And while you do have very good scaling in Alistair Sivir, there's a world in which the Sivir doesn't get to sit and also gets put down, so Renard will know. Come on, yeah, Alistair good damage there. Just a little over half HP. He does have the ult, so he could safely dive if you wanted to. Ooh, keeping the burn active. Interesting there. I like that, actually. Nice play.
Boy, Vampire will be forced to ult. The true damage return on the Orbit Deception causes some damage.
He can kill here with a flash. He can kill.
Flash and Ignite Law. He just gets it, Renard!
Damn, that is slick. I love the extended view on the play. Newer players coming into the top level of play often lack that ability to see beyond the next 5 seconds, see the longer kill play. Renard sees the Alistair out of position and Vampire goes down. The bot lane of JDG is losing their footing here in finals.
Prove I have actually on occasion been listening to you. I want to shout out how he played that fight, considering he's gone for a Blackfire Torch build.
Yes.
He plays it perfect. The burn stays up the entire time. Play it longer, play it slower, play with the fact that you have got all of that chase down, all of that ability haste, and poor old Vampire, I mean, he's left out for the proverbial sun.
But the rule of thumb is, particularly on a champion like Ahri, which doesn't have the damage numbers to really kind of build anything willy-nilly, you have to justify your build with your play. He did that there by playing the slow burn. Way going in towards mid lane, there potentially could be a dive on top side too. Gala has both summoners. Let's see how many he loses.
This is one. There's the spell shield. Will get supremely displayed. Has got the cleanse and just about survives. Now Sobro going to try and make himself a dominus person, but unfortunately ends up being a put under the ground. I couldn't find a way to get sub in there correctly. Right. So we just ended with a dead Renekton, didn't we?
Yeah, he's very submissive and diveable right now. It goes down under the top there. Yeah, don't worry, Sam. It's not my first rodeo when it comes to particular style of pun for some reason. Dragon started by IG. Of course, the objectives are the last remaining thing for the feats of strength. Xiaoshu will get some gold from that top side. And now this top lane matchup is actually a lost condition for IG. The Renekton will not be that powerful. Behind 500 gold to Xiaoshu, died for the second time this game, getting a little bit worried for their impact on the game. However, Gala, no flash, no cleanse, no ults, no grace, no, I don't know, there's a whole list of things you can throw on there. Is now a target. They need to somehow protect this Sivir, because in the next team fights, this Sivir will not be able to play the game. If you've got the Ahri and the Qiyana both flying at you, you are going to have a very bad time. You need to somehow find a way to team fight with your Sivir not being the central piece of it.
Worth noting again, not that it's necessarily in doubt at this point, but Photic has gone forward with the Bloodthirst of PTA with all the misfortune. We've seen a little bit more of that kind of first strikey Ghostblade into lethality builds, into squishy comps. Yeah,
did we see that in T1?
Did. We saw it in Demacia Cup a little earlier on somewhere.
Right,
and but basically just into very squishy comps, and sometimes you just get a bit more of that straight up front burst and just say, great, I press R and you die. Didn't go for it this game. Bloodthirst has largely been the pro build option. Just about denied there by JDG. Either way, Invictus Gaming up that 1,000 gold coming into the 4-minute mark of the field. Happy enough. Have feat strength yet, actually, interestingly. So that is a surprise to me, considering I thought they had the objectives early, but don't. So Bro's going to throw down the Dominus. Xiaoshu is exhausted, goes for that trade, and just doesn't track where the Qiyana and the Rel are. Regret it.
That is a huge problem. Wei is 5 kills on the Qiyana. The big highlight of this matchup was, hang on, Junja might go for a big fight here too. Sobro could walk up from bot lane. Casey ulting in towards bot side. That's the redemption coming in from JDG.
No flash for Sobro, so a flash into the shield vault. The Eclipse shield. The throwback still not quite there.
Junja's flash forwards now, and there's an ult from the Kiana. This is a problem.
Oh, he absolutely is, and he's dead.
Wei just commits the flash. Junja flashes, ults, gets himself 1 kill, but dies on the other side of it. You've got Herald spawning in 10 seconds. We could see a quick reset from IG to get towards that objective and get themselves the feats of strength and that Herald to throw at a turret somewhere on the map. IG are, on the whole, playing the map just that little bit better, and this is one of the worries we had about JDG in terms of, well, okay, we've got a jungle support, which are coming into the LPL as a new duo. Junja, of course, played here a while ago. Vampire, one of the newer supports here. And Vampire, good in lane, good in team fights. There have been criticisms about his map play. I don't think JDG as a team have done that well about judging what to do on side lanes and judging where they're in threat across the map. I think we can see that again here too, not quite considering the implications of sticking their neck out on a side lane.
It's worth noting, Action Mark now pulled up by Wei. There's another bit of reset you can go looking for. Get the Ahri and the Kiana continue to roll through fights. They are the ones snowballed. I see the thought process. Herald started.
It is JDG who get there first. IG, they stayed on bot side for quite a long time. There is the bullet time ready to work. Magic here. No flash on mid jungle for JDG, but that Alistair flash could be huge in this play.
Which turns into the Weather Girl and shows exactly where
behind.
It's raining.
In
comes the shield vault TP in behind your right. Vampire double headbutt pulverized, but Renard gets to pull off the ult regardless. Dway low, but all the while Sober at the backside helps murder the Gala. Over the wall goes Shouts. You can't quite pick up the misfortune. At least it becomes the 1-for-1. The problem is the Renekton is there murdering the rest of JDG. Poor old Honku again adds the extra Q. It's tears in chat. 404. Enemy health bars not found. Check out Renard's scoreline.
IG just approached the objective better. Again, we haven't seen in both games so far a single grouped up fight won by JDG. This is while you have the flash on your Alistair. He goes in trying to break up the backline, but there's no follow-up really in range. Jax gets in, but a little too late. You don't have your mid-jungle following up. I think it's a little bit of an unfortunate miscommunication between the backline and Vampire going in. You can see maybe Jax could have got there a little earlier. Not quite there with the timing, though, compared to IG, who are much better at pulling the trigger in a concerted fashion.
Damage officially done. Invictus Gaming up 5,000 gold. That's, I believe, it should be the feats of strength, one would imagine, but no. The Herald did get taken by JDG, so that denied it. I do apologize.
Yeah, JDG got that. The first 3 kills were actually picked up by JDG, despite the fact that they are behind in them now. They're also behind, of course, 4,000 gold and a couple of dragons as well. Next dragon coming up in 20 seconds. The team which takes that will, of course, get themselves the feats of strength, which are hanging in the balance. They sometimes feel a little bit decorative in this kind of game. Again, though, you'll take everything you get because both teams are very much throwing themselves into the fray. Got to collect a second item from Botix. Good for this moment in time. Good chunk there onto Vampire. Needs to be careful to keep his HP up. Starts losing too much HP. JDG lose a powerful engage piece.
Herald throw down as a counterway mid lane. Sobrez walked across the ward. Xiaoshu's now going to try and ward him off. There is the Ruthless Predator to keep Xiaoshu accountable. Slide on that with a slice and a dice. Mid lane wave being fought over by IG.
Hang on, jumping forward. Shot lands!
Oh, Renard! It's superb! Can look for more. Reset comes on through Gala. With that spell, she'll buy some time. Renard with another charm onto Vampire this time. That's a bit far. The bullet time Magnet Storm combo, though, will ensure that at least he is avenged. Junja just about survived. The problem is on the other side. The supreme display of talent catches out the Jax from the other side of the wall. Wei shows a magic trick, namely that he's 7-0-4.
The synergy of IG's team has been very, very impactful in these games. Renard dies at the end there, but honestly, I see his angle. He says, look, I can die. I can jump into 3 people. I've got a Rel Misfortune behind me. Take all the HP you want. See how it goes. Sobra caught out on bot side again, teleporting in with Honku.
And finds a way at flash over the wall. Honku won't follow. Does get the flash at least, but really that is a small prize in the grand scheme of things, especially as Invictus Gaming get themselves Soul Point, get themselves a team fight, and those feats of warfare which have been eluding both teams for the last 19 minutes.
I hope we get a big old replay of that fight. We presumably should do, so I'm going to wait to talk about some of the specifics there. But I have been really impressed by IG's synergy, their cohesion, their ability to just kind of follow up the initial play with someone aggressively jumping forwards. And JDG, typically, I think they have been better in the team fights than almost every team that we've seen them against. I did not expect IG to turn up like this in finals. I did not expect them to be contesting JDG to the level that they have. But they've managed to break the bot lane of JDG. They've managed to break them in the team fights, and IG are really impressing me.
They really, really are. There's a Cyril does not picked up for Wei. This Kiana has been such a problem. And look, Wei has been a player somewhat maligned, I think it is fair to say. Was on BLG at the beginning of 2025, was not that much longer. Moved eventually over towards the likes of Invictus Gaming, and now really some of those other huge names leaving the squad. People like Rookie, of course, would theoretically be playing right now for They is actually really stepping up to be the main character in many ways of this series.
Atakan spawned, IG of course on Soul Point for Dragon as well, when that spawns in the next 4 minutes. Just under. But the Jax teleporting behind. They don't know about this just yet. Ari needs to teleport in ASAP.
Oh boy. So it's the Supreme Slayer talent down, but not that well, and that is Wei in danger. The moment I speak well about him, he's going to end up dying. Jungler dead. All of that gold dead. Atakan coming on forwards. Photic left low. Shouts with the backside. Gets a hold of the Rel. It's now a 5v3, and Atakan is looking like JDG.
There we go. Great teleport from JDG. IG had gotten the better of them up until this point. There's Drenard going again. Misses the charm. There's still a bullet time available.
Health bar's not looking fantastic for JDG. Photic on the side, looking to get some downfire onto the barrier to the right time as the bullet time comes on forwards, and Honkyu is dead. Atakan just about secured. Got dicey there. Vampire goes low.
Oh my god, I was so scared after the smite was very poor from Junja. They get themselves 3 kills rather. Sorry, was it 2? Yes, jungle support. Those are the 2 kills that they ended up picking up. Photic, well played from him to kind of just slide around the side of Vision to get himself an extra kill onto Honkyu there. They just didn't end up doing their due diligence whilst retaking the bot side of the map. Great combo coming through from the point and click of the Pantheon Talir and the Jax teleporting in. Jway goes down. I wonder whether he should have just played more defensively. Realized that he was probably dead there. Tries to go in for a bit of a combo. Whatever, saves his flash. Photic somewhat saves the play here. Renard hit one more charm. Maybe this could have been the miracle 3v Thrive. And the cancel from Honkyu just missing that, cost him his life.
They get the Atakan, and that is a decent comeback for JDG. It's something to get them back into the game, something to give them space for this Sivir to get towards another item. It managed to stay within touching distance largely of Photic across the game. It's only been the last 5 minutes or so where that's really exploded in favor of Photic. The Color cash in early on kept things even.
Oh, potential dive on this bot side. Pantheon can ult towards the bot side play.
Flash on out of the crash down. The charm just about goes wide.
Ari building up towards that Liandry's as second item. Did have a nice amount of stacks on the Dark Seal. Lost them in that dive into the 1v3, which I do think was a good play, but did cut off the Medjai's early buy potential. Gone back for the Liandry's now. Double burn intact. That is very nasty for the long burn team fights. Actually, against this kind of team, quite like the slow burn. There's lots of ways you can kite out and really threaten with stuff like the airy rocking Blackfire and Liandry's. That magic damage can be nasty. IG, big control over the map. They do need to be afraid of stuff like the Flash Alistair, allowing the Pantheon to fly into the play, same as the Talir.
Only again, Sobro, we called it out a little bit earlier in terms of his survival, has actually gone towards an Eclipse Black Cleaver build. Very much a duelist build. Not tanky necessarily, but if you get through some skill rotations, that shield can be a lifesaver, and of course, Renekton stacks Black Cleaver like nobody's been. Dragon in 35 seconds.
And that will be the Soul. So IG, they do have a couple of wards on their flank they need to be careful of, actually.
Rise on Photic's inventory. He's just back from Infinity Edge.
Huge. We do see first of the feats of strength boots built up as well. Ari's picked up one of them. JDG playing towards the bot side, entry through bot river. Xiaoshu does not have teleport to fly in to this play. 2 controllers on the flank, they were put there. Or just the one was just replaced, but they were brought up basically by taking that bot lane turret just beforehand. Joy, of course, lost his flash in that play, won't have it for this one. IG will have to go for a big fight to get themselves that dragon.
Nard will walk through mid to shove that wave out, keep the Jax accountable. Dragon started by JDG, who have managed to force their way into the river and get some wards down through that bot lane. Not bad from them.
Actually walling off from the flank, taking one of those typical Talia wall angles. So coming in, Gala. Wei, Renard, themselves an aggressive angle. Very well at starting up plays on their own. Here they go.
Looked for Gala, gets that spell shield, can't quite find the charm. Got One more rush to work with. Honku over the wall looking for
Spell Shield's on cooldown.
Angle. Gets over, means that seismic shove goes wide. Xiaoshu forced on the other side. It's a bit of an awkward one. In they go with the Pantheon. Immediately supreme display of Talented. Doesn't really get that much damage down and they will kill off the Rel. Tobro trading out with Xiaoshu. Gets to the backside. It is a 1-for-1. Both supports have gone down and Wei might pick that one up. Vampire low. Dragon secured by Pantheon. Bullet time. Over the wall goes Wei with the audacity. Will kill Pantheon as well. Looking for an additional kill on Gala, who can't quite be brought down. Honku and Gala on the wrong side of the rift. Need to reset. Need to escape.
Yeah, Photic could potentially just run at them. Do they look for the double kill? They can teleport back in with the Renekton. They see Honku there. Charm, not sure if it lands.
Doesn't really matter, I fear, as Gala goes down. They'll get the last one. Dragon lost. Invictus Gaming get the ace.
But look at the timer. Baron spawns now. Once again, IG win the group up fight. They have been so much better on their coordination front. Photic does lose his flash in that play. Lots of summoners invested for the one fight, but they'll take it. Yes, they don't get the soul, but if they get the Baron, they're still walking away a very, very happy team.
That they will be. We'll start again as Renard kept jumping over that wall at that angle. Doesn't really land the chance, but doesn't get picked off by Honku, who tried to ward him off.
Yeah, Renard, it's a great angle, and I like that he tries it a second time. Yes, he is on vision, but it's still forcing Gala and Vampire away from the dragon itself, and Honku's well off of the angle as well. It's not great from Junja. He jumps in, there's no Sivir within range to do damage at the start of it. Same with Honku. Honku takes a long time to get into position, but I'm going to put this on Junja, really. He flies in, goes way too far away from his team. The bullet time held on for so long in this fight, does get the damage needed to really seal the victory after that point. As we saw in the extended chase down, IG walked away with that Baron on all 5 members of IG as we come out of break.
10, 1, and 4 for Wei, by the way, now, who's picked up the Umbral Glaive. Vision control is the name of the game at this point. Such a good item for pro play specifically. Not bad in solo queue as well. Do consider it. All you junglers out there who are building lethality items, it's just very good to ensure that if you're going to assassinate people, you do it without people being able to see you.
The Baron buff used to push in. Now, what do JDG have to offer? They have 3 flashes on their top side. Vampire's onto his kind of, well, tutorial summoners at the point. Heal. Goes Xiaoshu. Well, I thought he would take over this game, you know, after winning that early lane. Couldn't quite manage to do so. He's been struggling to coordinate with his team in the right way. So to start taking away this turret will likely kill the full one, actually. Victory there for them.
Does manage to get that one pretty well. Renard goes lurking for the play there. It does get the burn stacking, gets the charm. Outside of the redemption as a result. Now, unfortunately for Xiaoshu, overcomes Wei. I don't think there's a way out anymore for the Jax, and the 2v1 is too much.
Loving these slow plays from Renard. He's just looking to dump in, apply the burn, jump out, keep safe. Gets an easy kill there. Ends up taking down Xiaoshu after he takes down in a turret. I mean, it's good goal for them. It's the objective bounty. Xiaoshu would still take that trade and doesn't blow the flash for it. But still, IG managed to cut the push short. Then, again, returns the map. A minute left of the Baron buff. It's not a crazy big Baron power play.
No, it's not.
What can they get towards? I guess they'll just continually control the map. It's not the big explosive amount of gold they might have wanted.
Really get that much done in terms of where the waves were. I think before that Dragon might get the mid lane wave shot, but I think that bounced back by the time it's done. They get a chunk onto the mid tier 2. There is that. But I don't think it's really gotten them any more turrets as yet.
Not getting huge map control. Look at this. Right the way into the end. They're going to use the last 45 seconds to take the top lane in a turret, likely. Q back swing onto the Alistair. Nice there. Good jump away. Look at the damage!
Oh, it's superb. Has to ult, but unfortunately Sobro's the backside. And the supreme display of talent says, Wei, I will pick up my 11th kill, 12th kill of the game. They will pick up Photic. That's not bad. Splitting the fight a little bit. Wei will still find the mount up crashed out. Junja gets another.
This is
it's getting a bit messy. It is. The GA value from Junja is huge.
Yeah, IG managed to walk away with a pretty good play, despite the fact that Vampire just got outplayed by Renard. The dash away from the combo left him out in the cold. Renard has been exceptional on the Aria. Been loving the way that he's been playing. My main champion, IG, have been benefiting from it. However, with all of that said and done, the Baron power play is now a negative. JDG managed to pick off an extended fight. The Sivir ults, the Pantheon ult used well in that top side to pick up Photic. We didn't see this part in live really on top side. Well, it's pretty obvious what happened. It was a good jump in from the Pantheon right onto Photic. They get the central part of that damage. Photic can't ever really get himself into position for a bullet time. IG lose both their bot laners here. Wei, though, I think Wei makes the big mistake here, where he thinks he can get himself the huge play. Doesn't quite have enough damage to see off that.
Well, the GA on Junja means that actually this time around he doesn't just die for free. Does lose the GA, importantly, coming into a Dragon Fight. No Flash, no GA on Junja. Dragon Fight might still be tricky here.
Renard's just picked up my favorite book in all libraries' shelves, The Meadow Soul Stealer. 8 stacks, not up to the 10 just yet, but you get kills mid-combat. You can actually get some surprising back-end damage if you get a couple of assists. JDG, they're at the river first, but IG have actually been okay to let them do that at points. They've been retaking the pit in the way that many LPL teams like do. So, IG, you're against a 3 going on 4 item Sivir. You have a very... Hang on, that's a good play on Shashu on the bot side.
Oh, from Hongq was... Oh, my days, that Supreme Despair talent doesn't quite catch Hongq. Went back into it! He just took off his health bar. Oh, Hongq! That's a mistake. On the other side, they will protect us. The bullet time comes on forward. 3 people in the middle of all those waves of pain. The lead comes on forwards, and JDG have to back away. Oh, Hongq! He dodged the initial wave, but forgot about the backswing.
Ori's on the off angle. He can look for the charm here. Misses it there. Here comes the Pantheon.
Not in time to stop the Infernal Soul. Flash away from Wei. Flash forward from Xiaoshu. Can't quite get the kill. And a little bit of terror shaping will get that Qiyana out to safety. The counter-strike comes on forwards, but to no avail. Renard picks that one up, and JDG roll the dice and come up with nothing.
It has been a bad day at the office for Hongq. 2-6, and... You know, the substitute mid laner for IG on the other side of the rift has a 20-stack Magi in a 7-1-11 Ari game, alongside a jungler who is 13-2-5. The CFO jungle mid combo has been schooled here in game number 2. Right here, catch onto Xiaoshu, who's trying to look for a play just before the dragon comes up. Really misunderstands, I think, the situation here. Calls in Hongq's ultimate. Talia extends the ultimate. He thinks he's out of it, but it wraps around the wall again. Oh. You don't expect that, but if you're playing the Talia in a Qiyana meta, you have to know how the ultimates interact. That might just lose JDG the game.
Oh, what a disaster. Really lovely from Wei. Gets that win, and of course, without the mid laner, they have to go desperately looking for a last gasp engage. Junji gets in there, but Wei gets all the damage he wants onto Vampire Flashes out. Xiaoshu can't get the about. Also, with enough damage to kill off the Qiyana, and it come back to life, and Violence, I think, might be going to die here. Is dead, yeah.
Fodic's dead. He did have the flash, didn't use it. Not exactly sure what happened there. Well, Baron is up is the big thing. Fodic not sure why he's bot lane while his team's on Baron, if that's the case. IG will walk away with the Baron on 4 members. JDG lost Hongq again, so Hongq died there. He's still on that cooldown. I believe that, yeah, he's 2-7, so he's died an additional time. There's, I suppose, a 1-for-1 across the map. IG walk away with the objective.
Exactly what's happened there to leave Photic with Hongq, or Renard rather, away from the jungle.
Renard's got 4 extra stacks, and there was a dead Talia. Yeah. So I think we can tell by process elimination that Ari might have killed the opposing mid lane. Away has GA. Look for a big fight here. Great stun.
This could be a bit of a problem, I think, because the Supreme Display of Talent will cause a lot of damage. Gala, no spell shield anymore, goes down. Wei picks that one up, making another damage. Wei is low, but not down till now, and that means everyone else is having a horrible, horrible time. Hongq will try to escape, but unfortunately for him, Wei is very audacious, and a seismic shove is not enough to quell the pride of Qiyana.
Awesome team fighting again from IG. JDG have been blitzed every single time there have been multiple people on the same screen. IG are better at team fighting today, and JDG, the favorites coming into the finals, will now have to reverse sweep to win the finals. IG going 2-up in the series.
To the Nexus turrets we go, to the Nexus falling. I am sure we'll be following Invictus Gaming now 2-0 up. 2 very different drafts, but they are still the ones with the mid-game, early-game spike, and they are the ones that are coming away with another convincing victory. Wei and Renard leading the charge. I think 25 kills between the 2 of them.
Ridiculous from the mid-jungle, against the mid-jungle, which kind of rocked the world on the international stage. This CFO duo of Junja and Hongq have been Well, I think Honkyu has had some great games leading up to finals, stuff like his Onivia. He came up with 2 MVPs from the semi-finals, I believe it was, as well. The guy's been on a tear. IG have schooled them here. There is something very special about seeing someone play your main champion well. There's been a bit of an Ahri meta ever since 2022 in that MSI where RNG kind of showed the world how to play kind of stuff like the Vi Ahri and the Viego Ahri. But I'm not going to lie, folks. A lot of players have been kind of slumming on their champion for a while. They've been playing it as passive playmaker, safe laner, someone that combos up well. I loved that Renard was jumping forwards and making the plays himself. Did he miss a few charms? Yes, every player will do on this champion. The fact that he puts himself into the correct angles to make that threat happen, very cool to watch. Very rarely in a position of absolute danger, very often in a position where he was putting out the team fight winning damage. He outplayed the heck out of Vampire, he outplayed the heck out of Honkyu. He's my player of the game.
He had over 1,000 DPM there as well, highest damage in the game on the Ahri, which is not always that easy at a pro level, it has to be said.
Absolutely not.
And delivers really well. Fantastic play. I think it's him or Wei who will be coming away with the MVP. I think on this one, I agree. I think I give it to Renard. Wei was the recipient of a lot of the kills, but I think a lot of the setup. Really, that's courtesy of the Ahri for me.
So, folks, I guess we'll stick around for a little bit. We'll do that thing where we get coffee, and we'll come back for what could be a very short day at the office, folks. Duo up, IG. No signs of stopping right now. I was wondering whether the bot lane wouldn't be able to reprise their performance. I think, once again, they were the better bot lane in this game, too. I think that Vampire outplayed quite well by IG. I don't necessarily think Vampire, quote-unquote, played badly. I don't think he played great. I think he was not coordinated with his team, but I don't think played quote-unquote badly. I just think IG are outplaying him. Yeah. The jump back from the Ahri, the ability to kind of coordinate better in teamfights has been so cool to watch from IG.
Well, folks, it's time for that little thing we call the advertisement break. Those of you who are still here, please do ensure that you stick around and ensure we get a little bit more support from all of you. It is appreciated where and when you can offer it. If you have the additional money, consider throwing out that Twitch Prime subscription. You do get a free sub every month if you're paying for Amazon Prime. You may as well throw it here to help support your local casters. Consider as well donate to the Ko-fi link. That's agnostic of channels. If you're not a Twitch user, there are still ways to support us. Thank you to all of those who do. See you in about 12 minutes and 12 seconds for the third. It's actually fun game.
这波2塔韩，其实我们看得出来 JDG 也是有实力的，作为同样的决赛对手，就这波其实是一个非常好的一个绕后的一个包夹，因为原本可能已经是那种接近2塔韩掉平推的局势了。这波是我觉得鳄鱼很高光的一波。
I just realized that with Nathra in the background. Yeah, we're technically on break, but you know, don't tell the bosses.
Yeah, that's fine. Because again, we're going to see a lot of these replays, and they're cool replays. But I think it's now 2 games in a row where JDG have gone for a comp that basically spikes an item after IG, and they haven't been on the front foot in the early game, and I think it's really hurt them.
Yeah, that, and also I think whenever it comes to the big fights, Ginger and Vampire have not been well coordinated enough. I also don't think Xiaoshu's been well coordinated. I don't know, just no one's coordinating better enough. So you can either blame it on, well, is it Xiaoshu not being in a position to follow up quite at the right timing? Is it Vampire jumping too far forwards beyond his carries? This is the kill that we didn't see in like, right. Well, we did do joining of the dots a little bit of, okay, there's 4 more stacks of the Medshais instead till here.
Botic had the Bloodthirster shield and thought he was going to be safe and that the Redemption wouldn't take him out of the shield. It just ticks down far enough for the Redemption to interrupt his reset, which is how he dies.
This was a really fun fight. Again, I actually think that Jue was kind of the butt of a lot of the joke. But it doesn't really matter in this game if the Rel's dying that quickly, because as long as you're buying up the CC, it gives a free fight to the Gunner.
It did, yeah.
And it absolutely did. So while this isn't a montage for Jue in this game, I think it's still completely fun game. There you go. Yeah, player of the game. They're really, I've seen a lot of shit pro mode, and I don't like the way that they build because they don't justify the way that they're building, because you know you have to play how your build says you play.
Finality, Ahri.
Okay, hey, I've played some ADR in my time.
Played the static shift Triforce.
Yeah, that was, well, there were various versions of that. There was a static shift before it became really, really broad. I preferred Kraken Slayer. Really fun game. Really fun game. And yeah, thanks folks for...
接近超神，对吧？就掌管比赛，但是在京东一度想要发力的时候，又打 打出了一个中单，一个超级肥的一个。
Alrighty, folks, I'm gonna put some.
好，那第3局的讯息
You like some? Yes, I would.
Range,
obviously.
I had a feeling that would be the answer. It's nice to check.
稍事休息，看看决赛会不会出现转折。
Also a bot laner. Ah, what I did there, guys. An LPL related joke.
Shit.
JDG。命运有时候真的非常神奇，没想到决赛的对决会是这么有戏剧性。
从2020到现在，我走过了一个又一个赛季，不知不觉间，我也扛起了队伍的责任。
18年的时候，我还只是一名初出茅庐的年轻选手，看着这支 IG 为 LPL 拿下第1个世界冠军，心中非常感慨。26年，我也成为了 IG 的一员，虽然是全新的阵容，但是一切还是熟悉的感觉。在不断的挑战中，我们一起走到了德杯的终点。
我相信机会总会留给准备好的人，过去是这样，现在也是。加入京东的第1个比赛就能打到决赛。 我觉得此刻就是我等待已久的机会。我希望用1个德杯冠军，让观众记住我的 ID。这里是京东中单选手红 Q。
也许身边的队友变了，但看来有一点我们都没变，喜欢把命运抓在自己手里。
作为 IG 的队员，我想告诉我们现在的队员们，我们 IG 永远一往无前。
叫米里欧，遇见你我很高兴。这是新的冰鞋吗？感觉真棒！极致寒冬。
我曾经也和你一样，塞纳，游荡于世界之间，害怕迷失在自己过往的汪洋。
竭力祝你择日快乐。
You till forever and the stars collide. There ain't nobody with a body that steals my mind. Now and forever or whenever I want you. Say what you mean, say what you mean. Know what I want, know what I want. Every moment, all the heartache, I can walk away. Don't know if I'll ever hear the words that I want you to say. Don't waste my time being indecisive. Why can't you be mine? Say what you mean, say what you mean. Know what I want, know what I want. You got me lost inside
anytime you want me, you don't have to say please. And anytime you want me, I'll be there. Ain't nobody like you, even if I tried to. Only got my eyes on you, only got my eyes on you. 'Cause you are to me.
What up, chat? What up, what up, what up? How's it going? It might be a very short day today, folks. Very short. Thanks everyone for supporting as we come back streaming this year, first stream of the year. And we kind of know that this setup is a little bit limited in what it's doing right now. Hopefully we'll be able to sort that out for future streams. This location will be a bit different when we get back to the next couple of days. Currently back in the UK, seeing family over the holidays. And we hope that everyone's had a wonderful Christmas and a happy New Year. Got to spend time with people. Kind of with. Oh, maybe got some nice stuff. Christmas present it would be IG to walk away with some silverware at the start of the year. I'm trying to remember if they've ever won a Demacia Cup. Want to check that. Last year, it was. I don't remember the previous winners of Demacia Cup. I've sometimes checked out on the finals of them. Edward Gaming Enjoy. Hey, how's it going? Hey, well, we missed you too. Everyone who's been stuck around for LPL content, it means a lot that you stick around. We appreciate it. Who's won Demacia? Last year it was Annual's Legend. BLG won last 2 years before that. And Top Esports 2 years before that. RNG in 2019. So this would be the first. I mean, so IG won once. No, so they won the first ever Demacia Cup back in 2014. Then they won again in 2018. So with this, they would become the second most winningest Demacia Cup organization. I hate that term. They will have won Demacia Cup second most of any team in the LPL, including being the oldest and the most recent Demacia Cup champion. That's fun. That's fun. Hey, thank you for the sub there, Defrin Ball. Appreciate it a lot. Happy New Year, Kurt. Let me go check on it. Just found out Rookie is starting for IG. What's happening to Renard? I mean, I am also questioning that now, because I think Renard has actually been very good this tournament. You know, what might happen is, look, a lot of teams I'm sure will shift rosters throughout the year. The LPL tends to, and I think particularly with the advent of the off-season auction for LPL, we're going to see teams change mid-year more often, I would imagine, because they want to avoid the auction. I think Renard might end up on a team that is struggling or wants to improve from like lower table to mid-table after split 1, if it comes to it. Maybe even mid-split 1. But basically, I think players are kind of like sitting out in split 1 to play in split 2 and 3 to avoid the auction, because they're just playing to the left of it before, right? If Renard moves to another LPL team, I hope he breaks the rookie sub curse. True. Who are the other players that... was it Mole? Was it Mole that subbed for him? Forge, that's the guy, not Mole. And he was someone around that same era. Forge was so good for those couple of games he subbed in for. Dream was not great. Yeah, Forge was excellent for a while, and then he just dropped off the face of the planet. Yeah, that was a shame. It was a real shame, that. Yeah, it wasn't Mole. Yeah, I remember that now, TFC. Your IG historian. Getting back into draft soon enough, and we'll see whether it's a very short day. I'm not gonna lie, folks. I think IG have been very, very fun. Now, I thought they were a bit lucky to get away with some of their previous series. Renard's been a breath of fresh air. I'm really enjoying watching this guy. Wei's been on a tear, and we saw this right the way from early on in the tournament. If Wei has a good game, IG explode again. and he's had 2 very good games so far. The Kiana was one thing, but, you know, the Ambassador in game 1 was very impactful too. This is why Wei is still regarded very well within the LPL. You know, don't let his downswings on IG last year, you know, well, this year rather, take away from that. This guy is still someone you need to respect, very much so. Ball jumped around quite a few teams after the V5 era. Yeah, I cast him a fair bit. He was on Rare Atom, I want to say.
从这德杯看起来是磨合的非常好的。
是的，而在14号将要开赛的 LPL 第1赛段里面 ，IG 也是6支登峰组的队伍之一，对吧？当然也要看到包含了 BOG。
Yes, now we get to see IG. What are their champion pools like for a finals level performance versus JDG? JDG's bot lane has lost quite a lot of their power picks now. I mean, they own Alistair, 2 of Vampire's better picks. He's looked very mediocre on them, I think, at best. His laning's been fine. But I think his coordination with the rest of the team has left a lot to be desired. I think Gala's been worse. Gala's Nymaera, out of position in bits and pieces, diving into random 1v2s, and then, of course, in game 2, looked at the Sivir, which was meant to scale up. The early lane was fine again, but just didn't judge the map well. That's all haze. Yeah, coffee. Into the draft we go. Syndra banned off first. So, what do we also expect to be banned? We saw Orianna Rumble banned away by IG on red side in these same spots. Syndra was banned away on 3 by JDG. I can't remember what their first ban was in the other game. I remember that. I can't tell actually. What was the third ban? Well, we'll see at Harvard and be like, oh, that's certainly it. That'll probably be what happens. Yeah. Wow, how can we possibly forget about that one? We're expecting the Orianna ban by IG on 3 as the most lane dominant. I will say as well, I think that Honkyu has been held to account by Renard very well though.
We'll also just say, I just find it incredibly amusing that Malphite is worthy of a first round blue side ban. Just in the year of our Lord 2026. That champion is just kind of busted right now, which is a bit ridiculous considering how generically basic he is as a concept, right?
First time in the series, Orianna's let through. So Orianna is let through, Victor banned instead. Honkyu, a very good Victor player. I presume so. I mean, Syndra is gone. It's Talia, Ozir. Yeah, that's an easy first pick.
Left up as a result, though. You've got to have an answer into the Orianna if you're leaving it up. Carly?
Well, Renard is playing very well today. What is confident? Problem is now that you're starting to look, because you're starting to think of stuff. Well, that wasn't banned away the Kai'Sa. So this is just a completely dry Kai'Sa just thrown in there.
Nice for Carly. Just take that away from Gala, of course, because he's probably the most famous Kai'Sa in the world. Certainly up there. Strong. Hard against the Carly, knowing they're into the Orianna.
Oh,
Nico instead
hang on.
would have been that bad.
How could I forget about? Oh, exactly. That's the one I just left off.
Okay.
Thresh Phalios has been something picked out a lot by Gala and Vampire. You're into a double range. This is a dominant lane versus the Kai'Sa and Nico. They should be winning the 2v2 here. That should be a big thing for them. I think Ginger might start looking at something either like a Vi or a Nocturne coming in on 4 as well, which is another takeaway from what IG would want to do, because both of these teams can go for a diving jungler to fit in with their team.
Come back to that Thresh Phalios to run. Worth a little bit more. Why it works. Theoretically. Red lane. Dominant across most of the 25 season. This kind of little uptick in that pair of champions has been sending interesting track. Second phase of bans coming on through. I'll note that Sobro has managed to lock in their Dante fairly early here. So getting rid of things like the Yorick makes some sense to prevent easy answers into it. Of course, we've lost the Jax already, we've lost Nexon already, Zahan's gone as well. A lot of those easy anti-tank options are gone. When being removed as a potential Xiaoshu carry option, is something you see into the Cassante semi-regular.
Really like to see both these supports onto kind of like a more flashy pick. This is going to be a good laning phase duo from Gala and Vampire. Wei is one of the best Nikos in the LPL though. This guy, in fact, actually, on FPX earlier this year, Hui carried a game versus JDG while they were huge underdogs by getting 2 5-man Nico ults in a row. That was when Care had the casting game. Yeah, that Care had the casting game. They fell behind 10k and they managed to work their way back from some magic from that Nico pick. And I was going to get the Hui band away from him, which is one of the main. That role. Mordekaiser would be an okay ban here. We're trying to take away extended damage champions away from the Kazante. Trundle, of course, going into any tank. The pillar into the combo is denied.
Yes, and also again, you've got Kazante. One of the better ways of dealing with it is that Trundle. I will then note that the Yorick is still up and available. It would change the feel of the draft from JDG. Yorick is not exactly what you call a team fight specialist. And again, when you've gone for Aphelios, when you've gone for Orianna, you are realistically looking for some big combos and team fights just inevitably from that. Banning the Nocturne themselves is a choice, but I guess they are wanting to deny that from Wei's an easy AD skirmisher and engage option with a Nico.
Yeah, and we called that out earlier, right, in terms of actually JDG could use the Nocturne, but also the enemy team could use it too. You need to protect the Aphelios from that hyper diving threat. There's already quite a lot of threat with the Nico and the Kai'Sa.
Oven, isn't it now?
Oven's not always fantastic versus the thresh. You can get flight out of your flag drag if you don't commit filter, and then of course you can get Lantern out to safety. It does take it away from the Orianna. I'm more interested in what happens in this mid lane pick. For the first time this series, Ginger will get counter pick into jungle as well. Game 1, Wukong was first picked. It was a blind pick to Ginger. Game 2 was the last pick, Kiana. So first time we got a blind pick jungle matchup for Wei. Ginger will have his call of what he wants to play into.
Aatrox's been left up and available. Could be a top lane pick, worth to keep noting on that one. Again, Aatrox jungle was initially the flavor of the month, but people have kind of learned to deal with it a little bit better, especially if you can deny some of the early skirmishes.
Start of the tournament, Aatrox was really ripping up jungle matchups. Last pick now, will this Aatrox be into the jungle or top lane? I'm going to imagine it's in jungle, and then they pick something else in terms of tier list. Aatrox is better in terms of the remaining junglers. We've had a lot more bans in this draft than the junglers. Which round will be the Gnar. Now, Gnar, not great against this comp all the time. If you do end up getting jumped onto, the Kai'Sa flies into a side lane, makes your life very difficult. Last pick for Renard. What is the play? The Akali looking like it fits in with the dive comp.
Not the hardest CC here, really. You've got a point and click. Well, point and click. You don't have that much point and click. You've got fresh hook, a good flay. Box will help a little. You can sort of do some stuff with Aatrox and Orianna, incidental CC. But I think there is quite a lot of room here for IG to get in, unless the flay is fantastic. Some of that CC will be landing.
I think JDG have a comp which can get ahead with picks early from good hooks, good laning phase, and snowballing through a jungle matchup, because Aatrox does pivot very well, or rather kind of leverage well off of winning lanes, and then get ahead of the game and stop this lower range diving comp from getting in. JDG, I think, need to get ahead early though, and there's something which you highlighted at the end of the last game. JDG have had better scaling comps which have maybe come online items later than IG in the first 2 games, but they haven't had as much early presence. And in this game, they actually can have very strong laning phase from the Aphelios and the Thresh, and that can get them ahead of the game in a way that they couldn't in earlier games in the series. They need to do that, though, to stop themselves going home. I suppose they already are home, it is their stage after all, but going out of this tournament very early.
Embarrassing way to lose in the finals. 0-3 in your own home stadium can feel a little bit demoralizing, it must be said. Coaches will fist bump Mafa and Abe, 2 of the more famous names in League of Legends esports. Was part of a roster with Uzi not so long ago, where it may have part of that early SKT journey now. T1, the most legendary team, legendary player in esport, hell, possibly in esports at this point. Certainly been one of the great names. Those drafts again. Early skirmishing. Some good scaling as well. Orianna and Aphelios, no slouches at 3 items. That's real. Don't get those picks early. You don't have enough CC to stop the many from Invictus Gaming. Things might get interesting.
Some of those Gyos.
啊 the JDG chat leader. Chat leader. It's so good.
Missed that guy.
He was
He's one of my favorite parts of the LPL. So this damage onto Junja, not going to matter that much because he should be out onto the map early enough make a difference. Bush control established by Gala and Vampire. Now, the thing is, the fellow's not very good at the level 1. What's going to happen here? That's the barrier popped early by Gala.
Flay forced them away the other way. Photic going to get the heal from Wei to speed them away. So it ends up being someone has traded on both sides.
Yeah, it's actually a better trade for JDG, I think, on the whole. Given the fact that Photic, I don't think he got his passive onto either member, lose out a lot of damage there. Runner was actually wandering down to make sure he could influence the play there if he needed to. This was caught by Hongyu. Did get hit by that 1 Q from Akali though, which means got her own little slow.
Strike. That was 5 points, I don't think, really. Play over the bot lane wave, Vampire lands to play on Wei.
That's quite big there, actually, because the Nico Q hit the champion, it popped multiple times, did more damage to the minions than you expect, which means that they actually get control of the wave. Elias Thresh, not great at actually doing damage to the wave at level 1. Elias really needs level 2. Before that, all he does is switch weapons aggressively. Again, pop that from Jway. Despite the level 1 not going their way, I don't really think this has been better for them.
As again, you are still double ranged here. Kai'Sa Nico has been a pretty scary duo in its own right.
Control over the bot lane. Alright, okay. Well played from them despite that level 1. A little bit scary. Renard, hard trade against him here in the mid lane.
Good work there, Renard now left. No, I don't think quite in kill threat. Again, you've got the door and shield, you've got the pot rolling. Should be okay to stick in lane here.
And Akali has like really, really good HP regen. But he's spotted now going towards mid. Now bot lane's pushing in. Junja knows he's here. And I think that way, with the way that he's pathing, maybe knows this too. He's starting at red buff. Junja should know this. Yeah, he's hidden this well, coming back around the corner. Now they'll know.
Mag's down, so can't really drag himself back in with a Dragon Strike.
Back up in 5. So, bot lane's winning from IG. Frog's taken by Junja very quickly, uses the smite there, so he won't have that for contest. Vampire will look for a hook over the wall.
Flash for it if he wants. This could get dicey. Jway pulling his way back to give himself some space to contest. The hook lands onto the red buff. That's going to give a license to go on forwards. It is secured by the smite of Wei. That means red buff onto the Jarvan. Flash away from Junja. Camp stolen.
But while all this is happening, Aphelios has had to back from under turret and is going to lose an entire cannon wave. Vampire did go over to try and fight for a buff that was always gone. You didn't have that smite, and also Wei was full HP. You're not killing him with just a Thresh and the Aatrox there. So IG getting slightly further ahead in this early game than we thought they could do. We actually thought, well, okay, a good hook from a Thresh. The Aphelios Thresh is good laning duo. Didn't work out very well. Kai'Sa Nico showcasing exactly what they can do at the early levels too.
The Hongyu has been laning very well into the Akali mid lane. Renard tried to play it clever there by Shuriken flipping one way on a minion to get a little bit of a chunk, but many missed 2 minions doing it. And yeah, you'll still pick up a few of these minions here, but at least the Orianna continuing to get some pressure down.
That is a knock-on effect from Renard, wandering bot side to try and influence the bot side 2v2 at the very, very early levels. So you saw Hongyu get a bit more damage onto the Akali than you normally expect. And Akali lanes are always knife's edge. Renard has fallen behind in the early matchup to see if he can recover any of that. He does have 2 good side lane matchups to work with later into the game. Both the Gnar and the Orianna very playable for the
Note as well that on that reset, Photic and Jway have now gone top. They are the ones on top of that wave. Managed to pick that up on the crash. TP bot from Sobro to pick up the wave that was shoved in by Gala. It's a mini Gnar who does take a little bit of a chunk there from Sobro. He's not level 6 and won't decide to go all out or anything.
Wondering whether Vampire would fish for a hook in that mid lane. This is the threat of the Thresh on the roam. You see great vision control across the river from JDG. Gives a lot of power to the Thresh roaming out of Fog of War, looking for that hook. No one is particularly safe from that well, besides the Kasanze. If you get hooks, there is a genuine kill threat outside of that. So power to Vampire in this early game. You've got to have eyes on him. Maybe he can start to redeem himself for some of the earlier, less impactful performances in finals.
Of course, it hasn't worked out this way as yet. Gnar coming on. Don't realistically think Kasanze is sticking around. This is a bit risky. Should be okay with the Q3 stacked, I think.
Biscuits too, proccing. The Biscuits give you a lot of health regen at low HP, despite all of their nerfs over time.
They're resetting away again.
Yeah, they're trying to avoid the 2v2. And what they're trying to do with this is get, the Kai'Sa a little bit of solo XP. And stop that Thresh being able to kind of this lane contain. We did say actually Aphelios Thresh can be quite good here. 1 hook lands in lane, especially at this point now, and you can actually have genuine kills.
I guess my question is something pulled out. I agree with in the draft. I think now is as good a time as any to explain why the Aphelios Thresh is potentially a good matchup, even to a double range powerhouse lane of a Kai'Sa Neeko.
Hooks are good into double range. Yeah, you want to stay at range. It turns out Thresh Hook actually does a ton of damage, and if someone's pinned in place for an Aphelios, it really hurts. If he has the Graviton, it means that the hook can sometimes be point and click, so you get that route into hook. So it's just a lot of surprising bursts if Aphelios gets anyone stuck in front of him. It's not
nasty time. And again, Aphelios, with that additional mobility of the Lantern effectively allows him to play a much more waves, so he doesn't have to play as defensively, which means he can just sit there and DPS. And again, Aphelios early on, if he gets to auto-attack, go through some of his skill rotations, a pretty high DPS champion for all that he is known as a hypercarry.
Yeah, no, Aphelios is one of the highest DPS champions in the entire game. It's one of the reasons why he worked quite well into Yunara in this tournament, where we saw kind of this evolving meta across this tournament of Yunara, Orianna, best champions in their roles. So we saw Syndra into the Orianna, could actually contest the early push and then threaten her later too. Then we saw Aphelios into Yunara, because Yunara jumps forwards into a Sentinel turret and just gets blitzed, gets completely destroyed. Potential 2v2 here, good root, good poke.
Bobs, there's the hook onto the real Neeko. That's what we were talking about. Into the Dusk Wave to get some Chakram stack. Photic steps on forward, looking for the passive autos. Gets himself a healed and pulled out to safety by said Dark Passage.
Barrier as well. Gala popped the barrier there too. But yes, there you see. Single hook onto the Neeko, even though they started the trade well, forces the flash. You need to be very respectful. We'll say there's still a 10 CS lead, just under. Or Photic wave crashes in, which makes it a little bit less. No, the Neeko's doing quite well. Both AD carries have a cull. We'll see whether Photic can have himself a good game on Kai'Sa. We've talked a lot about Photic in negative senses on our casts over a great many years. He's had some brief moments of form which have made us really respect him. Very rarely lasts more than half a split. We're in Demacia Cup though. It's not that long a time window, and if he's on good form, maybe we do get to see the better parts from him. We used to see, you know, on one split on V5 and a couple of other times where he started to come to life.
Again, the caster style AD carry has always been superb. I remember his Senna very fondly. I said,
I remember
all up there.
Wow, the one thing you can't do as AD carries is auto attack very well.
Yeah, caster carries are fine.
Grub's being started from IG. They took the first dragon. If they get the Grub side of the equation too, they'll be very happy getting basically winning with the objectives on both sides of the map. I did not expect that from these comps in this early game.
Way to escape. They don't want the full fight. That'll be just fine.
Oh, IG. I mean, they've escaped what I thought could be a snowball early game from JDG. Get Dragon, get 2 Grubs. Once again, their early game is looking pretty good. Now, the thing is, we need to see if that will last into the first big fight of the game. That'll be when things really start to come to us.
Thing is, if we do come to those 5v5s, even those 3v3s, I feel like IG are a little bit more on theme as a comp. Everybody can dive. Everybody can follow up on a dive in some capacity. K'Sante, Jarvan, very good initiators on that front. Akali, Kai'Sa, Neeko, not exactly slouches at going forwards, are they? It's kind of majority of those champions' identities, particularly with the build coming in from Photic as well. That's looking like it'll be an AD variant. The on-hit stuff, we're not really seeing the AP stuff from Kai'Sa so much anymore.
Well, I mean, realistically, in almost all of her builds, it's Kraken Slayer first. Yes. You can go Kraken, Rage Blade, and Nashes, and then you transfer into it. So, but it's not like we saw Shiv, Essence Reaver, Shadow Flame. We haven't seen like full AP. How about hanging around Gala's lane? See that actually Gala had to stand quite far back respectfully because Dre was a level 6 Neeko. There's every chance that you get a flash blown for free. Gala needs to hold onto his flash very, very greedily. If you lose flash on the Aphelios, even with the Thresh behind you, I think you don't. I think with the Aphelios down, I don't think JDG win fights. I think it is too much to ask for the rest of the team to pick up the damage if the Aphelios doesn't get good damage at the start of the play.
Goals for both AD carries matched pretty well. Photic still maintaining that 10 CS lead or so. And again, I come into this mid game without JDG having the lead, and I go, you know what? Your CC, as we noted in draft, is somewhat conditional, somewhat limited. How much of this dive will you really be able to prevent if it does come in at that 1 item mark? And I'm not sure.
Well, credit to Honky, doing very well in this matchup, extended the CS lead to about 20. A lot of this just comes from one good trade early, keeping that slight blip ahead of them. The lane opponent, using that to expand it further and further. Top lane's going quite well though for Cerberus, considering it's against a Gnar, doing quite well there. Bot lane, go, as we said, done quite a good job of keeping the Kai'Sa ahead of the Aphelios for now. Dragon is 30 seconds. That would actually be the objective feat of strength for IG if they were to get.
Right now, Honku. Renard does clear out the wave, doesn't miss the CS, but every time he does, Honku just keeps cycling through those autos. Again, it's the Roa Seraph's build. Very nice into it in Akali, who is behind, because what threat do you have into a Seraph's Roa? Not a lot unless you get super snowballed, and that's not looking like it's on the cards right now.
Yeah, if the Akali doesn't get ahead, then actually IG's dive threat does go significantly down. And at that point, it's kind of like, well, Kai'Sa is the only quote-unquote DPS. You know, Akali can sometimes be that actually get into the backline into it. Actually, once again, now playing so a little bit there, dashing back at the right time. Teleport into mid lane from the Orianna.
Another mask build from Renard, by the way. No rocket belt, which has often been the Akali build of choice of late. So a little bit more HP, a little bit of a slower play option, which Renard seems to favour, at least in this series in particular.
I think it's better into the HP build because everyone besides the Aphelios is building a significant amount of HP, which means that you don't necessarily have the glass cannon one-shot capability like to see as the Akali has consistently. Dragon is now alive. JDG has been doing very well at getting vision across the river. However, IG do have one ward. What side of him? It's Scuttlecraft. No, it's the green ward they actually put in there.
Nice.
Very careful around these. Flash is blown now. Then the play starts to fall. 3-man push in the bot side. Ginger mid lane. Able to catch out Renard there. Look over the wall. Just poke. Do that much.
There for the family there. They go with the Shuriken flip. Hard gets a bit of a chunk down, but it's chunked back in due course by a very aggressive moment. Renard flashes over the shockwave. Needs to find his way out here, though. Can look to Shuriken flip and execution his way away from danger in the 1v2.
I think Renard is very happy with that. No, he gets shockwave and he gets control of mid lane, and he ends up getting the Aatrox ultimate. Now, you're going to lose some topside camps, presumably. Ginger's going to walk around topside and get them, but wait, takes Dragon. They get themselves the feats of strength there. And Renard, considering how far he is behind in individual lane, I think he did quite well given his options available there.
Does end up blowing the flash as a result, but hey, honestly, for trading that for Dragon, probably take that. The cost way, as you noted, a few camps, but largely speaking, IG, take that trade, I think.
Very happy to see a Mountain Rift here, too. Very much helps the Cassandre, helps you when you're diving in. Helps you fight against the range discrepancy. Carbon drops the standard, helps take some plates down on this bot side. Now, if they take first turret, of course, they will get themselves feats of strength, even with no kills on the board. It's been a no-kill. Hang on, they're really going for this.
Oh boy, the double pop. Oh my god, he's gone! He's gone!
Where did he go?
The death sentence comes on out, but unfortunately, I fear it was for your own AD carry. Finally, Junger here. Flash out from Photic, looking to find his own angle. Still got that ultimate to work with. May need to pop it. Another flag and a drag, and can maybe look to go on in. The death sentence lands. There's no mana for Photic. Barrier comes on down, and they've just spent too long there, and it is a good punish from JDG.
I think Photic could have just exit stage right, leave way to his own demise. They end up losing the extra player. They do take down Gala, who loses a wave under tower. That is important, but giving the 2 kills over, not really what you want to see on the other side. JDG walk away a little bit better off from the play.
They do. I thought Photic could look to ult and outplay that. I think the mana was just a little too low at the end of the play.
He did ult. He ulted to the side. He just got hit by the Q3 anyway.
Sorry. Yes, it has.
So you can see it's on cooldown there. We'll watch it in the replay again. Now, this is a lot of damage. I mean, what do you say? That's a lot of damage. They get the Nico passive on, the exhaust goes on to a target, which is not relevant to the play. It's way too late. It's just a bit of a wasted summoner there. Now, this is where things get a little bit meh. I think actually what you could have done is try to get the Plasma onto Vampire, ult out to the side of the play. Photic ults there instead. I think they can go for a really big play here without realizing that Honku is coming into things. Don't like the barrier usage there either. Not great from Photic.
Being a little bit too much there. 2 additional kills come on out as the JDG mid-jungle come down to defend that bot side play. Again, it's still Gala that ends up losing out from the play for JDG, so that is not the best, but 1,000 gold lead towards Orianna. Actually, Onkyu's Orianna is something you'll take every day of the week.
Yeah, so Renard's got himself up to the Liandry's first item. He's actually going to be doing significant damage now. Wei has ults. No flash. Don't hang on. Honku does have flash. Might have to blow it here.
Some work to do. Blows that flash in order to do it.
Every time you lose a flash against the Jarvan is very happy. So Honku being down that is something which IG want to play around. Herald on top side. Being started up by Ginger, who has himself a slight lead over Wei for what feels like the first time in this series too, actually. Wei has been by far the better jungler here. Ginger, it's a player which I've got a lot of respect for. Those players which really came to the fore on that EDG squad, which won Worlds in 21. No, he didn't play at the tournament, but he got them there in the first place in 21 Summer. Great player by all means. First turret taken by IG. That'll be the first. That'll be the feats of strength for them. They get themselves those boosts. Some extra gold onto Renard as well to bring him slightly more to parity with that Orianna.
Plan has got a Dark Seal and the Leandry's in inventory. Top side, Xiaoshu trading out with Sobro, but all out on the mini now. I mean, Xiaoshu's actually not in a great spot here. Has to flash, does so, but it baits potentially Sobro and has to flash away his own as Junja throws down the World Ender.
Sobro's not unhappy with that, trading again, flash for flash, while one of these players is against a Jove and the other one isn't. Very important there to, again, threaten something like the mini nut. Now suddenly, hang on a second, Joy, potential options here. I was wondering if you put into the Kaiser form. Before that, Dragon up in a minute. IG, credit to them, they have not fallen prey to Fresh Express running up and down the map, getting hooks left, right, and center. Because that was one of the things which I think JDG could have used for a win condition. I don't think Vampire's, again, I don't think he's been playing this game badly. I think that IG were having to play lights out mode against very good vision control from JDG up and down the river. This is not worked out the way that JDG would have wanted in a snowball sense. And IG are actually getting to the point now where they can walk into side lanes. I think Renard's going to start picking up bits and pieces of more farm now, because he has very good side laning potential against this entire team. Very good against the Gnar, pretty good against the Orianna in the side lanes too. Expect to see him have more presence on the map despite a shakier early game.
Play, Photic. Second item, Cole's cashed in for both AD carries. Note though that it is fairly deep. For the Kaiser.
Oh, hang on, that can go into turret.
Oh, yes, it could. Turret shot taken. Mega Gnar nearly here. No all-out used quite yet. Xiaoshu needs to time this well. Does for now. He's forced to run away.
I think that might have been because it was on cooldown. God damn it, this overlay. I saw that like, wow, if that ult was up, he would have been 100%.
I was trying to phrase it. It's like, is that back up again? I'm not quite sure.
Oops, my bad. Now, Xiaoshu out of the side lane. Looks like no top laners in this play. Hook misses.
Look at Renard.
I don't think he's looking for a play right now. We might see a slower play while the Cassandre starts taking care of business in top side. Herald in mid lane. Xiaoshu dropping out of that top lane matchup. Neither of them having teleport. That is Junja inside that Herald. That could have been quite risky there. Gets out safely.
Chunk on mid lane, but we've seen that every game from JDG and no real further contest onto the mid lane turret any of the other games either.
IG might actually choose to not fight this dragon too heavily and get themselves that big play on top side. They do push the wave in there. Sobro's now wandering down. How much time can they buy? Now, if they buy enough time, they will have the Cassandre at the play, while the Gnar is still de-pushing top lane. That is an option. He's going back towards top lane. He's leaving the play. IG, not exactly sure what their full plan is. They might lose mid lane turret for this.
White, Kaiser has enough in the tank there. Clear out the wave. It's very low. We'd only take an auto or two there.
This is a real chess match, folks. It's a low kill game. And you can see that both teams don't really want to walk into active range of each other. There's a real chance of the whole game just exploding off of one misstep here. You know, that one thrash hook could be it. You know, you overstep into a Jarvan ult with a flashless Orianna, it could be the same thing. Shockwave.
One down Joy will heal, keep himself a little bit more topped up. Was afraid of it to follow up there with the Gravitum ult. Renard now on a flank angle.
He doesn't have something like a rocket belt, remember. Tower is very, very low. JDG would love to get a hold of that. Renard is off of vision. They might know he's somewhere down here, but they don't know exactly where, and that is, well, Devil, or in this case the Kali, is in the details. Dragon started, Renard is on a good flank angle. Neither top laner has teleport still.
In the bushes, there are a couple wards to track her out if she does take this flank angle. So the moment she makes the move, it will be a known quantity.
Hasn't been spotted yet. Now, question is, if she gets seen, will it already be too late?
Picture in picture, it's a bit of a tussle between the two top laners. No teleport on either angle. Dragon down at 4,000 HP. Junja in the back of the pit is in a dangerous position. Needs to get some healing, does, but at the back line goes Renard. Look at the angle, flash out of the Pot Blossom. Not the best angle. Renard goes back in. Dragon secured. Byway, perfect execution, flash away, flag a drag, cataclysm. No one is dead as the health bars come down. Hook lands onto the Jarvan, left low. Vampire gets some healing and should be able to run away now as Photic left a little bit in a dicey position but escapes nonetheless.
Dragon is the big win for IG. I will say though, fantastic play from Vampire there to stop the Nico while even with the flash being very, very valuable. So JDG don't lose anyone to that play. A lot of flashes blown on both sides. A reminder, every time the Jarvan sees a flash blown, very happy. Sobro will lose that top turret. JDG starting to eke out a bit of a gold lead now, actually. They took the mid lane and the top lane out of turret in this kind of sparring match. Looked across the rift at each other. IG gets sole points, JDG get the map advantage.
That's the first significant gold lead of the series, actually. They've been behind pretty much every other game. 1,000 gold is their advantage. Again, still down Soul Point, still got a 2-item Kaiser. It's not like this is an insurmountable lead right now for IG, especially considering where the gold is.
Wei being behind 1,500 gold, that's the big loss for IG. Wei has been so good when he's ahead. Now when he's behind, see whether he can have the same impact. Mid lane, Renard. The ult just yet, a real kill threat here, but you know we will see eventually Renard getting more and more value. Honky is a good amount of gold ahead. We've talked about the whole game, but I think that Renard is actually in a very good spot despite that. Now he's escaped early game, has a lot of dragons to buff him up too. They get the Mountain Soul. IG even with the gold deficit will not for a bit.
Restart. Yes, certainly threatening it.
I think they are, Sam. Comes from that. Renard does have the ultimate. Try and trade his ult for Honky's. Oh, I think they need Renard's damage onto someone like Euphalios.
Right, he has onto Honky because Peter finished up that Seraphs and a 10-stack rower. This is a pretty chunky Orianna.
Waves, Atacon. Again, Junja, Honky spotted heading towards bot side. Now Renard's heading up top side. They want to leave the Atacon, try and catch Xiaoshu while he's in mini, see if they can get Renard a free kill maybe. Xiaoshu going to be able to... Oh well, Xiaoshu doesn't end up falling prey to that just yet though. Renard fall off the attack.
That potential Barley Road ways, it's just not been able to get involved in the game so far. 0-0-0. Play it may be, but it's not really leading to the Akali being a genuine threat right now.
Game slows down again. It's been a much more cerebral game this time, folks, playing wider around side lanes. I will say that's one thing which RB teams typically do well, but I think a lot of the players on JDG need to learn that skill set. Players like Vampire is a newer support. That is a skill set which is very hard to learn as a newer support. Again, I started again. Xiaoshu does have himself that mega back and available. He could teleport into the play. Renard's going to find him out. See how he really does. I could fly back in, choose to here. Well, it's getting lower and lower now. Wei might have to stick around for the steal. They could just give this up. See if Wei dies for it.
From IG, so they're playing this 3v4. Could still be a smart fight. They pull away from it. Wei takes some damage, backs away briefly, pull back and goes down. Gala gets that kill, and now there's no jungler. They finally teleport in, but that was poorly played by Invictus Gaming.
Yeah, Wei just gets hooked in, dies, did not have the flash, and is very, very squishy. Wei has been often the lifeblood of IG, and right here he's somewhat the lost condition. Vampire, no flash.
Redemption comes on down, can't quite get the root. There's another death sentence. Renard is pretty tanky with the Redemption coming on forwards now.
Oh, Renard's dead here.
But does get slowed down by the chilling smite. Shuriken Flip buys some time. Can he get enough space to escape? Look at Honkyu as well, potentially threaten. Another choke at the chains. Needs another Shuriken Flip up, lands it. But there's just too much move speed, and he's run down with the command dissonance speed up onto Junja being enough to track down the Akali.
JDG, they're getting a lot more out of the slower game here. They're starting to pull ahead in terms of gold. They get themselves the Atacon amongst that mess as well. IG, they do have a minute up until that dragon comes up. So, Gala's going to have flash up. Junja will not. I don't think he might just come up as the play comes through. Which means that Jarvan, who's behind in gold, will not have the best situation. If IG get themselves the smite, they're still happy. If they don't, JDG, I think they'll start seeing the real benefits of the slow game.
Soul would be a big win, but they need to get there. 30 seconds. No teleport on Renard, who will not be spawning for another 5, so will be there as the dragon spawns just about, but not there for the setup.
Botic, Wei, both have flashes, both have ults. Haven't really seen the Kai'Sa determine this game so far. We'll say it's been hard for the Kai'Sa to jump in because everyone else is behind. Now, for once, it has actually been the jungle mid of JDG ahead. They were blasted in the last 2 games of the series. IG looking for... approaching through the bot river, trying to cheat themselves into the river, really. They don't have that much prior work, but Junja does have a shockwave on him right now. Oh, Wei's out of position. This is bad.
He's dragged already, does pull himself away. And 5 for now, but where is he going? No, now we're flanking, but there's no quantity. Where is he going?
He has flash. Hang on, trying to get the graviton root.
Oh, no. Just about out of range, but a flash hook to follow up on the binding eclipse. That means it's a dead Akali.
That's a lot of flashes and a lot of ults used. Can IG get themselves a fight with all of those things down?
World Ender coming on down. The Redemption comes on forward. Flashing for the Mega. Not the best angle, but still gets a bit of work. Dway goes back out with a Rocket Belt. Look at Gala. Potentially damaged to be able to come on through. Lantern back out. Xiaoshu left a little low here. Wei in the pit. Needs to think about coming on out if he has to. Flag and drag away.
He can flash back in for a Cataclysm. Where is the flash?
Oh! He gets it! And the bomb blossom from Dway. Boating in the backline. Gala down. And somehow, someway, Invictus Gaming have done it again. The Mountain Soul damage is good. Flash on forward. Sobro goes all out! And the Adolfo strike to there! Where is the Cassante copy pasta? The champion does it all!
Cerberus, the one and only, goes all out just this once, Master. I've no idea how he got that. I don't even know if Wei smited. I think Junja miss-smited, and Sobro got it with 1 tick of damage. Mountain Soul to IG, Baron to IG, Heartbreak to Jingdong Gaming in Finals Game 3 on their own home turf. Great play from JDG, playing around the pick potential. Renard doesn't realize the threat until way too late. Ult goes down, Flash comes through from Vampire to secure it. I will say though, I think that JDG overcommit. No ultimates from pretty much anyone on the team at this point. And Gala is so far out of position that even though this engage comes through, there's no follow-up. JDG, the initial pick was good, the extended play, much less so. I think IG on the whole this series have been much better at predicting the individual play. How does this go down? Oh my god.
12:03. 12:03.
The smite did come through from Wei. The smite came through from Wei. Came through with the Q from the Cassante. That, yeah, it doesn't get closer than that, folks. It doesn't get closer than that.
Fortunately then, JDG not in a great position. They'd already burned a lot of those ultimates short. You picked up Gala. Xiaoxi didn't catch Photic, who flashed away from the Meganar. Left him free to keep playing.
Oh my god, Wei just emoting on them as they go golden at the end. Wow.
Wei is there. Is someone who's spent a lot of time trying to make his way up to the big leagues. Mainly on an Invictus Gaming squad, of course, who basically popular team out here in the LPL. Now got a Lichbane does Renard by the bite. 3rd item done for Photic, and the game really back in IG's favour. This is looking like a 3-eye.
Look, the sins of the early game have now very much been washed away by the waters, the smites, and that Q secure. You have a Cassante now who is going to be just ridiculous. Remember, folks, it's not just defenses for him. It goes and funnels back into his damage as well. So once he goes into that all-out, the extra 2 Mountain Dragons are going to be so nasty. I'm really afraid for what JDG can do now. Against a Mountain Soul, even though you have the slight range advantage, your poke is not going to matter where it comes in.
Now shoving it on the side, and again with that Lichbane, with a couple of those grubs, you can cycle through your Qs to get those empowered autos and turrets to be able to destroy those relatively rapidly. Not going to stick around on that turret that wants to come collapse with the team in mid lane, and there is still that mid one that is still standing.
The jungle diff in this series has been kind of mega. This was the one game where it looked like Junja could actually get ahead of Wei and make a big difference of it, and even this has been all for naught. Xiaoxu been caught out on the side lane. He will likely die. The question is, how much time will he buy? I'm not sure it's going to be that much. Photic, 3 items. Yeah, he's going to get stunned against the wall. Look, he's into a Mountain Soul. There is no kill pressure here.
Barrier. Forced to ult at the very least as Photic does get the kill and gets the additional summoner.
Yeah, fair play. Actually, ult and barrier, that's a pretty high roll there. I don't think Photic had to stand next to the wall there. Ends up blowing his shields there. Junja spotted out on this top side. Remember, Renard does have that Lichbane. Afraid of that one.
All that much. And again, the Aatrox has been good this game, but I don't think it's been game-defining, really. We've not seen one of those big Aatrox fights.
Hasn't really been able to do the crazy clean-up, reset value. We're into a world now where it doesn't matter, really, if JDG have just a hyperscale Aphelios all the time, because my problem is, I don't think Aphelios can stand and fight now, and he doesn't have lifesteal. He has to have the Severum to get himself very safe in these team fights. You're going to have a little bit of healing and shielding coming through from Vampire, depending on whether he's got shields to Summoner. You do have double shields from the Thresh Lantern and the Orianna Ball. That's not going to be enough at this point. AG are going to be very, very happy. Photic even has himself a luxury Seekers in him. Dive very, very happy. Look to go golden and play the team fight out a little bit more aggressively with that defensive tool.
Also think at this point, look, you can Lantern out a Wombat on a dive, but what about second dive? What about third dive? Between Cassandra, Java, and Akali, and Kai'Sa. You've got so many people you need to get away from. Yeah, it's just not that easy.
Imagine how different The Lord of the Rings would have sounded if it was the first chapter was instead concerning Zhonya's.
Concerning the Zhonya's.
In a hole in Boris's shop. They're like... It was a homely item. It was a Zhonya's.
Zhonya's is not homely. That thing is a majestic piece of annoyance.
Home is where the stasis is. Dragon up in a minute. Elder Dragon would be... Well, that'd be a way back in for JDG. They make themselves a play around that. They are now behind gold. They are, of course, behind the gold of the dragons as well, and the Atakan petals are basically the same. So IG have themselves a significant advantage coming into this next play. Botic in particular is going to be very happy. His barrier should just be off cooldown as the fight starts, courtesy of Xiaoshu blowing it earlier.
Second until that. Want a little bit of casting lore before we get there. The medic used to be known as Soma, and his phrase when he used to go to Sona, sorry, yes, when I said Soma, my bad. But he used to throw the break with the phrase, throw it to the Zonias and we're back after the stick. was a line of Sona, so there you go.
Shox was, we'll see you back in 3.5. Half-minute break. Renard's caught out alone here. That could be a problem. He does have flash. He should be... Oh, okay, dodged away from the Q. See if he can really get a big escape here.
He needs to try and find the perfect execution angle. Use it over top of Junja, will then get out of the Infernal Chains with part 2, but down that big ultimate in the mid lane. Xiaoshu was jumped on, TPing onto the standard. The turret goes down. Be able to take that in trade.
Okay, so now the question is, can they fight for the Elder without the perfect execution? That could be big, because... Yeah, those are two big things down, actually. They're going to be fighting down in tools. They have big advantages with stuff like the mountain, though.
He leads to all that much more, but
smite fight. It's coming down to a smite fight. Wei has the GA. We're flipping once again.
How is he coming to this? Sober Flash gone over. Pop Blossom! Smite steal! Invictus Gaming, don't lose those fights! Backline from Wei, got the GA to work with. At the very least, Gala brings down the Akali. GA comes on down. The problem is, for all of the chakrams, they're swirling around a dead body. Meganar about to come in. The problem is he can get a shove into the wall. I don't think he can quite get the kill until just now. The executes come on forwards and the Elder Dragon provides the extra man. And Photic finds his 7th. Make that a quadra kill. Make that an ace. Make that the end of Demacia Cup and this series.
Invictus Gaming were the first ever Demacia Cup champions, and here in 2025 they will find themselves their 3rd across history. They are your oldest and your newest champions of Demacia Cup.
Substitute mid laners doesn't matter. Alleged downgrades and roster does not damn well matter. Invictus Gaming win nonetheless. Jingdong Gaming fall at the hands of Invictus Gaming.
A 3-0 in finals. Invictus Gaming came in as underdogs, but my word, they have shaken off those expectations massively. A team which went to Worlds, a lot of players taking a break now, especially for Demacia Cup. It didn't matter. JDG, promising roster, didn't matter. I really want to praise Wei. I think Wei was the best player on the Rift across the series, across the average. However, Renard in that mid lane massively outplayed my expectations, and the bot lane too. I think bot lane played against what I thought was the strongest part of JDG and Gala and Vampire. They made them look second best today. I think that Botic and Dway had a great performance, and IG are massively deserving champions here.
Congratulations to them. A well-earned victory and a short day in the office for us back here in the UK off our basement streaming capacity. Pleasure to have you all in here. We know it was a little bit janky, but it was a done thing, so thank you for those who came and tuned in. It is much appreciated from myself and Alex.
Yeah, thank you everyone. This is our first stream of the year, one of many to come. We're going to keep an eye on our socials for our own content plans. If you'd like to get to know us a little better, join the community. We do have a Discord, which is linked on the Twitch stream. If you're watching on Onivia, there is a Twitch stream live at the same time, in case you want to know why we're talking to people, which is not a voice inside our heads. That, well, sometimes. But yeah, come join us as part of the community. Follow us on our socials. We're here live as much as we can be, trying to bring you some really cool League of Legends and enjoy moments like this. And we really hope you have enjoyed. I really enjoyed this finals. I didn't expect it to play out like this, but that is the beauty of sports and esports.
With it, we also bid competitive farewell to Atakan as well. The last of our tournaments, really, at the top level. Be seeing that objective, at least for the foreseeable future. I recognise that man. I believe that's him. Nice, is that him?
Handshakes on stage. Very, very cool to see IG win themselves some silverware. When was the last time IG won a tournament? I don't think they've won a tournament since 2020. Or maybe 2019.
It's been a while.
I don't think IG have won since 2019 spring. I think this is the first silverware that IG have seen in quite some time, folks.
Roster with the Shy, with Gala, with Rookie. Somehow, some way, this roster, not even with Rookie.
And folks, I know that this is an off-season tournament, but teams are playing more and more with their full rosters now. We're seeing teams take it more seriously. And I've really enjoyed this tournament this year. It has been very fun. We've seen a bunch of cool plays. We've seen meta evolutions of stuff like Malphite becoming first pick, first ban priority. Yeah, this is a rare opportunity for Invictus Gaming fans to see their team pick up silverware for the first time in a long time. One of the most notable, famous teams in World League of Legends history. Find themselves, yes, an off-season tournament, but they find themselves a trophy.
Speak for itself for a second.
我希望就是今年结束以后，粉丝们能把它看作一个是
Yay, ads on Huya.
我们掌声也期待 Sobro 在2026年的精彩的表现，辛苦了。接下来话筒给到威。威在这一次的德杯之旅也是队伍当中的老大哥了。拿到这个冠军，有什么话想对身边的所有的队友、几位小老弟对他们想说的？
首先我觉得就是大家的性格都非常好吧，然后游戏里也非常努力，然后生活里也都是很好的人，然后在新的一年里拿到冠军，我觉得是一个不错的开头吧。
好的开始就是成功的一半。接下来我们把话筒要给到 Renard。Renard 虽然作为新人小将，但是在今天的比赛当中也有着不俗的表现。26年第一座冠军奖杯，你觉得这个奖杯对你的意义是什么？
首先，我很感谢教练组还有队员对我的包容，然后他们相信我，然后在日后的比赛中也是日日。都是在一直进步的，所以说这座冠军的对我的意义就是很重大，也感谢每位队员、每位教练。
也衷心的希望 Renard 能够继续加油，希望在不久之后，假以时日，能够在更大的舞台看到你更加出色的表现。接下来要问一下 Fortic 了，在今年来到了 IG 战队，在2026年一个全新的一年，你自己全新的期待是什么？
因为2025年对我来说是个不是很好的一年吧，就是希望2026年可以当做2025年的经验，然后继续前行吧。希望 IG 今年不止这一个冠军。
我们也会一如既往的支持 IG。接下来把话筒给到俊伟。纵观整个这次德杯的表现，包括半决赛，包括今天的决赛，我看到的是一支敢打敢拼的 IG， 一往无前的 IG。所以我想问一下俊伟，你觉得2026年的 IG 会是一支怎样的 IG？
Man, well, that was. We'll leave it on the interviews for those.
保持我们风格一直打就行了。我还想说，就感谢 IG 管理层相信我，然后感谢队友带我夺冠。
好的，我们再次的把掌声送给 IG。那么接下来，各位，我们也要特别的感谢教练组在这背后一直的努力和付出，也辛苦他们，期待他们在2026年也有更加出色的发挥。那接下来我们要揭晓的就是今晚的 FMVP， 他究竟是谁呢？大家来大声的告诉我你们心中的名字好吗？接下来我宣布德玛西亚杯今年的 FMVP， 他的名字是打野威。恭喜威！接下来让我们有请虎牙副总经理李英杰先生上台为 FMVP 选手颁发奖杯，有请。
Yeah, this guy completely deserves it. This guy has been through a lot, folks.
好，两位来一同来合影，看向前方。
Totally deserved. I think he was by far the best player on the Rift today, folks.
好，感谢，辛苦了，可以移到台下落座观礼。喂，这个 FMVP 奖杯也是，我觉得预示着2026年一个非常好的开端。我想知道的是，你在今年有没有什么特别想实现的事情？
首先拿到这个 FMVP 的话，还是很感谢教练组跟我的队友们吧。然后至于新的一年的话，也希望今年能比去年更好吧。
我们也一起期待一个更好的威，更好的 IG， 掌声再一次送给他们好吗？我其实特别喜欢今年德玛西亚杯的主题，叫做前路维新。 2026年，全新的一年，全新的赛制，全新的队伍的阵容，全新的游戏版本的变换。对于所有的战队、所有的选手来说，2026视为全新的开始。那我想，也可以从另外一个角度去理解这个前路维新，也可以把它读作前路卫新。踏上这段前路，为的就是新生，为的就是蜕变。所以特别的感谢德玛西亚杯在2026年的开始为我们点燃了新的希望。当然，也希望所有的各位，我们一起永远不要失去从头再来的勇气。接下来 ，IG 捧起你们冠军奖杯吧！
Well, folks, once again, thank you for being here.
这座奖杯是2026年新年赠予奋斗者最璀璨的礼物。它并非旅程的终点，而是前路维新最铿锵的注脚。最后，各位请记住今夜，记住这光亮，也记住来时的路。前路维新，传奇不止。我们下一个赛场再见。
Wait, deserved MVP as we were talking about. Be back LPL regular season very shortly. Forward to bringing you all of those games. Highlight reel. I think that means from myself and Alex, bidding you adieu relatively short. If you've not done so already, hit that follow button. If you've not done so already, consider hitting that subscribe button on Twitch or donating on the Ko-fi link. It means a hell of a lot to us if you can throw in support our way. Thank you again for tuning in. If you want to toss a tip our way, it is always cool.
I think we'll leave it there, folks. Thank you so much for watching Demacia Cup this off-season, wherever you watched, if you did choose us. I hope you enjoyed everything that we put out here. We'll be back with more streams coming into the new year. Follow us on our socials, join the Discord. If you can support us on Ko-fi, or just liking, commenting, subscribing, it does make a difference. I'll promise you it absolutely does. It's very hard to make a living in the esports space right now and stuff like that. Even though it might not seem much to you, it does mean an awful lot to us. We'll see you later into 2026. But for now, that's all for now. Bye-bye.